Tonight on the Black Channel. This is going to be one of those information-driven programs here tonight, so I want you all to strap in for that. It is also a message to the political parties, just to go ahead and let everyone know that we are still about that business. But to put this forward in an articulated, economic, accurate way about why it is that we do what we do, why it is that we have the positions that we have. And for those of you who may be newcomers, this will articulate this for you as well. For those of you who are non-black members of the audience, this will help get you up to speed here about what we're about and why we're about it. Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has announced that she wants to run for U.S. Senate out of the state of Texas. She wants to run for U.S. Senate out of the state of Texas. And if you go to her website, she's got a number of different things she would like to tell you. And I think all that's wonderful and fine. I'll show you all on your screen. This is from her official running for Senate website. Why I'm running. And she talks about, for too long, Texas has elected senators who have defended politics as usual and protected the status quo while Texans pay the price. Okay. We've had senators who pushed the American dream further and further out of reach. All right. I'm running for the United States Senate because I believe Texas deserves a senator who will be an independent voice for all 30 million Texans, not a rubber stamp or party line vote for Donald Trump. So very clearly the Democrats are running her because they basically want to see if she can succeed in softening up Trump and softening up Texas. And trust me, if she wins, Roland Martin will be the first one jumping out the window talking about she's turned Texas purple, which would be untrue, though it would be a change. She wants to remind you that, by the way, every dollar counts. Glad to hear that. Fighting for affordability. This is the first time in our nation's history that a generation of Americans are worse off than their parents. Can't argue with that. I don't have to tell you about the pain inflicted by Trump's disastrous economic policies because you feel its effects every single day. Okay? Although, by the way, the folks who are the parents are the ones supporting Trump, so we'll see. Every time you go to the grocery store, the gas pump, and the pharmacy, you feel the effects. The folk you talking about, ma'am, don't have to go to the pharmacy. Their parents who vote for Trump do. So, all right. Except for those who run around for Kamala. So, there you go. I will work day and night to fight for you and your loved ones to have your basic needs met, to ensure one person, one job is enough to live with dignity and retire with security. Now, that's quite an audacious goal. Quite an audacious goal. I do have to say that. One person, one job. I mean, you basically would have to overturn the current economic order to make that happen, since this ball got rolling after World War II. So I haven't actually heard her say anything that would overturn that. Increasing minimum wage is not going to do that. So there's that. I will work to pass the policies I have championed my entire tenure in elected office, policies to lower prices, not through subsidies, but by lowering costs. Everybody says that. Policies that will boost jobs, American manufacturing, clean energy. Okay, there goes so much for containing costs. And high-paying jobs that ensure the workforce of today is equipped for the jobs of tomorrow. All right, all that's great and grand and wonderful. By the way, that's all she really says there. This is the bottom of the page, so that's all she really says. The rest of the website is pretty much the same. You know, she talks about preserving abortion, I think, or something else up there. So, I mean, basically, yeah, while I'm running, you know, it's okay. Well, yeah. So, look, here's the thing. All that's great and wonderful. It really, really is. But you folks are failing to galvanize the real base, the strategic base. You're running out here fighting with a hand behind your back because you're telling yourselves, well, don't worry, the white political establishment and white liberals will save us. That's basically what you're doing. You're basically doing that. That is a very risky move to make, and you would have figured that they learned enough from Kamala Harris, but apparently that's not the case. I do not know if this picture on your screen is photoshopped or not. To my eyes, it looks like it could be. However, even if it's not, my real point is it might as well be. It might as well be here because who are you talking to? This is not about the black vote, but it is. You've done nothing to court the grassroots black vote. Going after the same Joe Biden, Kamala Harris voters last year should have taught you something. Maybe it didn't. I have an issue with these so-called black politicians. And the issue that I have is that you can't cry foul when your white benefactors decide they're done with you and ball you up and throw you in the trash can. When you have flatly refused to talk to the grassroots. Joy Reid is not the grassroots. Roland Martin claims to be from Texas. Okay. But he doesn't really have any Texas clout, but at least he can say he claims to be from Texas. I'm a resident of Louisiana, but I have a lot of listeners in Texas. Jasmine, you're not going to expand your vote talking to Roland the bowling ball. You're preaching to the choir. There isn't anybody who listens to him who wasn't already going to vote for you. There are no on the fence people listening to the dead black media. There are no on the fence people listening to the old Tom Joyner retreads and rejects. So there isn't anything to gain by talking to the same people. You're not expanding the base. You're not reaching out beyond your borders. You're not doing any of that. All you're really doing is hoping that going on cable television or talking to the old broadcast media is going to galvanize the base. And I'm just saying, folks, I've been telling you this now for a decade. Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, that's not it. That's not it. It might make you feel good in the moment, but that's not it. This fear that you all have, I just want you to understand that just like, and I'm going to say this, the Republicans and the media have given a whole bunch of credibility to the non-corporate voices. And by that, I'm talking about Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes, Joe Rogan. And yet, the strongest voices in the new media, which is where all the youth are, all the young people, the next generation, this is where they listen to. They're not listening to Joy Reid, ma'am. They're not listening to Joy Reid. They're not listening to Tiffany Cross. They're damn sure not listening to Don Lemon.
Nigga, what?
So if your masters told you that these were the safe places to go and whatnot, just understand that the soil isn't listening to any of them. Nobody, the issues that we have run counter to the Democrat Party, and you're not going to convince any of us that we should support you when it's very clear that if you're here to just try to recycle the party line. I notice, y'all, I'm not doing some of the usual things you might expect. I'm not throwing zingers. I'm not twisting names. I'm just going straight down the middle and saying, okay, let's have a real conversation tonight. Let's have some real talk. I'm not going to use a bunch of invectives. I'm not going to mock anybody's name. I'm not going to use any little cute, nicknames. I just want to talk brass tacks. I want to talk brass tacks. You have black politicians who do not talk to the black base. You have black politicians who think they're going to parachute in. Baby, everybody already knows that you booed up and buddied up with all the washed up sorors. If you keep doing that, it just proves you learned nothing from Donald Trump's victory. It's a new day. Ignoring the grassroots is going to be a recipe for disaster. That works for your white counterparts. You can do that with them. They can get away with that. You all are going to find that to be impossible. You see, here's my issue here. You can't come to me complaining about Jamal Bowman and complaining about Cori Bush and how allegedly they were treated or whatever when the rest of you are doing no differently. Cori Bush has not reached out to the grassroots. And let me be clear. Ayanna Pressley definitely knows who the hell I am. The squad and all the rest of them, they absolutely know about the Black Channel. I don't mean that as a generic statement. Oh, they are very, very well aware of the Black Authority. They're very well aware of that, as you all know. But I just want you all to be aware that, yeah, every single one of them knows. You had people reach out to Jamal Bowman. This is after he got booted out of Congress. He's been on a bunch of other internet broadcasts, Breaking Point and other places, and yet he has refused to come here. He's going and talking to white so-called liberals and white YouTubers, but he's refusing to come here. Well, why is it they would do that? Because you're going to get asked questions here that matter to the grassroots. Our questions don't really matter like that to Crystal and Cigar, certainly not Cigar. Yes, I'm saying that on purpose. So the issues that really concern us, those are not the major issues to them. Their issues are, quote, suburban. Our issues are specific. And what they don't want is for that to become a conversation. They don't want to go on the record. You see, what you all are showing, Ms. Crockett, is that the Democrat WikiLeaks is still very much valid today. When you all passed around that memo that said if anybody from quote unquote Black Lives Matter, in other words, anybody talking about a black agenda, if they come to you asking what are you going to do if they confront you with any of these Negro issues, you are to pat them on the hand. You're to tell them that you sympathize. You're to tell them you feel their pain, but you are not to make any specific promises. And you saw when a group of young people talked to Hillary Clinton, that was exactly what she did, which proved that that was the policy. That the policy is you do not give the Negroes anything. You don't give them nothing. Do not go on the record saying that you're going to do something for them. Now that tells you all that comes from the lily white supremacist top. That came from the very top. Although at the time that was Barack Obama. but we all know who controls him. Go look up the picture on the boat. So we know that this is what you all have been doing, and we just want you to be aware that the front people that they send out there, just understand a whole bunch of folks thought they were going to skate by. Otherwise, it will not be that way. You see, if you are relying, Cori Bush, if you are relying only on the dollars that you can raise in Missouri, it's already over. Jamal Bowman learned this the hard way. You're in New York State. If you're relying only on the dollars that you can raise out of New York State, meanwhile, AIPAC raises money worldwide. You're up against AIPAC's global wallet, and you're relying on a little sliver of New York State, and that's the only thing you plugged into. So not only are you a bad politician, you are a terrible strategist and an awful at mathematics. If you think that you are going to be able to fight global money and your only outreach is in Texas, and you think you're going to do something slick and you're going to go talk to Joy Reid and go on MSNBC or MS Now or whatever they want to call it this week, if you think that that's going to circumvent them, you're welcome to try. Jasmine Crockett is trying to be the first one to figure out if the strategy that I told you all about a year ago. I told you all a year ago that Gavin Newsom slithering out from under his rock in California, their plan is that Trump is going to just screw up. He's going to basically do what Kamala Harris did. These are the two political parties. They just trade power every few years. That's the little agreement they got. They just swap who gets to drive the car every few years. So Trump messed up, was so badly reeking that Biden gets into office. Biden so badly reeks that Trump gets into office. Trump so badly reeks that Gavin Newsom can get into office. That's the game that they're playing. None of them give you anything better. You just end up saying, okay, this guy here stinks. Let's try the other party that failed that we got rid of before. Let's put them back behind the wheel. You don't have one bad mechanic. You got two awful individuals who don't know how to fix cars, but keep telling you that they're mechanics. So going to incompetent car wrecker number 1 isn't going to get you any better results than incompetent car wrecker number 2. But that's the game that they play. And so their strategy is we don't have to be better than the opposition. We just have to convince you that the opposition is worse than us. That's what they're doing. That's the strategy. That they don't have to change anything they're doing as Democrats. All they have, well, isn't Trump doing terrible enough? Well, that's how Trump got in office. Isn't Kamala doing terrible enough? Okay. And Jasmine Crockett is the one that they're chosen to be first to see if she can get that strategy to work. That they're not offering us one thing different or better. They won't even speak to us. Just, ain't you sick of Trump? Isn't he doing awful? I don't trust somebody that we haven't spoken to. I certainly don't trust somebody who is consciously avoiding us. And what you need to understand, ma'am, is that Kamala Harris had $1 billion, way more money than you're going to raise. How did that help her? With her absolute ineptitude at communicating to the grassroots, how did that help her out? This idea, as I keep reminding you, that you all are going to circumvent the base, you're going to circumvent the soil, and you're going to just rely on the white party leaders and they'll take care of you. Yeah, they're going to take care of you all right. They're going to take care of you all right. You see, the issue here is that we don't know you. You spent more time talking to MSNBC than you have to the base, to the roots. Donald Trump was not afraid to talk to anybody, anywhere. Meanwhile, the folks who claim they want to, quote unquote, represent us, and they don't speak to us. They speak over us. They speak to other people, but they don't speak to us. So you end up relying on going to their Twitter page or some very short video snippet. And, well, didn't they say something about reparations? Didn't they say something about helping the poor? And it becomes that con job. Jamal Bowman was approached to be on my program by other people. Jamal Bowman refused to come on. No, it's not because Jamal Bowman does not know who I am. It's specifically because he knows exactly who we are. He didn't refuse to come here because he was unaware of us. They refused to come here because they are perfectly aware of us. We are articulate. We are knowledgeable. We are insightful. We are to the point. They saw my interview with Jill Stein. They know that we are very competent people to talk to, and they do not want to go on the record with what their real positions are, because I'm not going to let you say some fluff. I'm going to require that you be specific. Kamala Harris went on the Breakfast Club and unfortunately for her got specific. And that was the end of her black support and her political career. It died right there. Every single one of them knows it. Every single one of them saw it. And they've all been terrified to death of that repeating itself. And so they have desperately attempted to avoid that. The problem is when you come on these internet streets, you're not really going to be able to do that. Ask now in Cori Bush's case, she might have been a little more strident, but once again, Cori Bush wants to run for Congress again. Cori has not reached out to the soil. Cori has not reached out to the soil, and I'm just letting you know, Miss Bush, you are up against global money, ma'am. That little pipsqueak from Ferguson who beat you, he's got global money from AIPAC. They pass the hat everywhere. So you're up against AIPAC, who passes the hat globally, and your only support base is really going to be out of St. Louis? I mean, this is terrible strategy, ma'am. This is awful strategy. You need to be all hands on deck, and yet you're not doing that. You're supposed to be all hands on deck, and you're not doing that. If you all agree that they should be all hands on deck, but that they are not, give me the cruise ship emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. We have over 2,700 people in here live in just the first 20 minutes. But if you all agree that they should be all hands on deck, give me the cruise ship emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. We got almost 3,000 people up in here, but folks are not liking the program. So apparently I got a lot of folks who are sitting up hating on the low and saying, why you gotta do that? We need to support you. She better than Trump, man. That's right there. Y'all need to know. Yeah. People, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask a serious question right now to all of you, to any of the Democrats or whatever. What is it that we say here that is so objectionable? Why on earth would any politician refuse to speak to us? What have you heard us say, or what have we done that is just so outrageously unacceptable? What have we done? Show me anything that you want to talk about. Language, you hear what they say on Joe Rogan. You don't hear nearly the language here that you would hear on Joe Rogan, and yet you all don't have a problem talking to him, talking to Charlemagne. Okay, we are a far tamer place. We are a far more civil place than these other folks you go to. We don't talk about pornography. We don't sit up here and talk about anything illegal. We don't really talk about anything risque. So you want to talk about explicit content? That's not us. I don't use the language that Jasmine Crockett does. Damn! Jasmine Crockett has used more profane language than me. So what would be the legitimate reason for anyone to decline talking to us? We're not going to break off into a bunch of profane jokes, a bunch of pornographic humor. We don't do any of that. So what is the legitimate reason that you would not speak to us? What have we done that is so objectionable? I mean, we get deep off into the woods. We have high-level DC wonky political conversation here. We are exactly the constituency that you want to speak to. We are high information voters. We are focused. We are committed. We are very well informed on each of the micro issues. Why would you not speak to that specific audience? And most importantly, we are definitely on the fence. I mean, you want to talk to the people who may or may not vote for your competition? Well, that's us. You want to talk about not speaking to the choir? Well, that's us. That's us. So you really have to do some soul searching and examine yourself and find out why it is. You really have to do some soul searching and examine why it is that you would have a problem with that. Who is it you actually serve? Who is it that you actually serve here, and how long did you think you pull the wool over folks' eyes? Because just understand that's not going to get better. Even if you squeak out a victory, just understand it'll be short-lived. Because you haven't done the footwork. You have not done the footwork. We go over this every election cycle, year after year. Jasmine will be booed up with Joy Reid, who can't get anybody to the polls. Jasmine can't, you're talking to folks who ain't really gonna move nobody to the polls. And the places where it would really work, where you can actually get asked real questions, Joy Reid isn't asking anything that anybody wants to hear. Remember, we went over her interview with Kamala Harris. Folks, I would love to tell you that her interview with Kamala Harris didn't move the needle, but that would be generous. Oh, her interview certainly did move the needle. It moved the needle down. It was a negative. People want the real grassroots issues, talking about quote unquote affordability. That is not going to galvanize us. These broad sweeping generalities, that these catchphrases and these catch terms that they love passing around on Democrat and left wing political YouTube. That's not going to galvanize us. We are beyond the fake, vague pet terms. We're not going for that anymore. And I guess that's the reason you don't want to speak to us, because I want to know specifically, what do you mean by affordability? Exactly how you planning on making that happen? Because we've seen every con job in the book, and if you don't give the correct prescription, then we're out. And what they're really trying to do is prevent anybody from asking a question about the correct prescription, because they don't want to have to tell you, yeah, I ain't really trying to do that. The folk who pay my bills and pat my pockets, yeah, they said we're not doing that. We are through and done with supporting quote unquote black politicians who brag about not having a black agenda, while Donald Trump is bragging that he's bringing over here white Afrikaners. That's his new immigrant policy, is to bring over apartheid Afrikaners. And yet you're going to tell me there's an issue with us? So we're out of line, but Donald Trump and the Afrikaners, that's cool. He's legit for that. Okay, that's not hurting him. I want the Democrats to understand something. In case you didn't notice, this trick bag and this playbook is through. It's played out. It's flat. It's done. It's crushed. It's over. It didn't work for Kamala. It didn't work for Cory Booker, Cory Bush, any other Corys you want to name. The electorate is hip to the game. You're not fooling anybody. The only folks voting for this garbage are all the old niggas. Oh, yes, I said that. Only the old niggas who are, quote, your parents' generation, who already looted the store, robbed the bank, shoplifted the entire grocery store, and now they're sitting back fat and old, just waiting for their peaceful death. Those are the only folks who think Trump bad is a legitimate reason. They're not voting for anything. They're just voting for ego. They're not voting for economics and tangibles. They're too old and rickety and broke down to be able to earn anything. So they watch The Price is Right or whatever hell else is on during daytime television, and then Trump bad, and then they get in their wheelchairs and their rockers and their walkers and go shuffle their way down to the voting booth. They don't even know who or what's on the ballot. They're completely uninformed. All they know is Trump bad. Okay, but Trump bad does not mean Democrat good. Just because Trump bad does not mean Democrats good. Folks not liking the program here tonight, so obviously, like I say, I'm letting folks know it's an opportunity to explain a few things here. It's an opportunity to explain a few things here, that we're not just saying stuff to be saying stuff. You see, when they go talk to the LGBT, when they go talk to the Jewish lobby, when they go talk to the Latinos, when they go talk to the Middle Easterners, they talk turkey, y'all. They talk turkey. They talk brass tacks. They talk tangibles to the tune of billions of dollars to Israel, to South America, Mexico, you name it. It's only when we show up that all of a sudden, we need to talk about symbolic things. That only happens when we show up. Once we show up, all of a sudden the damn conversation shifts. There's a reason that they have completely started just avoiding speaking to us altogether. Joy Reid is not going to ask a single question about tangibles. Rolling the bowling ball is not going to ask a single question about economic tangibles. None of these other folk are going to Pod Save America and Breaking Points are not going to ask any specific questions about tangibles. Yeah, they'll be doing garbage like the Crown Act.
Nigga, please.
All this symbolic garbage. that means something to the old, rickety, broke down, geriatric, diaper wearing, baby boomer civil rights generation. That matters to them. Notice me, notice me, notice me. We don't give a damn about being noticed. We care about being empowered, not noticed. And they're still selling the old playbook because, yeah, the Crown Act. Let me explain something to you all. These bastards in the Democrat Party are running the same playbook they've been running for 60 years. Dr. King talked about this, which is why we talk about this every time his birthday comes up. He said those things that the federal government pressed before, that didn't cost them anything. Desegregating the lunch counters and the public toilets and the housing market, that didn't cost the federal government anything to do that. They made it the law, but that didn't cost anything. They took money from us. They took economics from us. They took tangibles from us. What they gave back were things that they took things from us that cost us everything. When we said it's time to pay up, they did things that didn't cost them anything. Telling people to recognize us socially, that doesn't cost anything. What we've been talking about since Dr. King, that's going to cost you. Dr. King said, when we coming to get our check, that's going to cost them. So they're still trying to recycle symbolic things that don't actually cost anything. And they're hoping that you'll put a tremendous amount of emotional, feel-good value into it because it's not going to cost anything, which means it's not going to do anything. Don't tell us about some Crown Act. If the check is big enough, we'll wear whatever hairstyle you want. If you paid enough money for it. The conversation keeps getting cut off right when we get to that point there. That's when the conversation keeps getting cut off. Right there. In the chat room, Goodness Rated Bo, I'm so glad you said that there. We need to have a Jasmine Crockett supporter to call us up and to explain her position. Now, remember, you are a representative of Jasmine Crockett, so you have an opportunity to represent her now. If you refuse to do so, that is a very good explanation and illustration of the caliber of her quote-unquote supporters. We've been talking about this. She's looking a little bit scary and cowardly. We'll see if her supporters prove that, yes, that's their base. It's you got to be that kind of person to do that. So very glad that you said that. Let me go ahead and throw the Zoom link up here for you. So we can go ahead and get Goodness Rated Bo to go ahead and give us a call here. And they'll be able to explain to us exactly what it is that we're not understanding here about it. There's the link for the Zoom. Let's pin that to the top of the chat room. And we'll go ahead and get you up here for that. And they'll be very glad to explain to all of us about why we're haters, that we're just hating. Because we all know that's the intelligent, articulate, intellectual argument from Jasmine Crockett's electorate there, or at least her fans. So this will be a perfect opportunity to get a great illustration of the caliber of individual who thinks that Jasmine Crockett is just swaggy. This will be a great opportunity to get her electorate to let us all know exactly what caliber of individual or intelligence you have to be. So we'll give you 2 minutes for that, and then either that or goodbye, not a friend. But I want you to understand something. Just like that person goodness rated there. They're not talking about anything tangible. It's about feelings. It's about ego. And what they found is powerless individuals who have kind of created their own version of the Lyndon Baines Johnson poor white folks psychology. That as long as you get to be sister girl, you don't care how broke or destitute or dumb you look. You can click the link to the Zoom. You have no problem typing in the chat room, goodness rated. If you can type, you can damn sure just click on a link. It'll take care of the rest. So if you can text and drive, you can pull your 1987 Yugo over on the side, and you can go ahead and hit the Zoom link. Pull that 1988 Datsun, that Hyundai Accent, whichever one you pushing right now. You can go ahead and pull over. If you can text, I'm not going to tell you text and drive. No, pull that 1990 Hyundai Accent over, and you can hit the Zoom link. And yeah, if you have the ability to type in the chat room, stop typing. Nothing. All of a sudden, I can type. Oh, well, then you can pull over and click a link. You can damn sure do that. Oh, trust me, the cell phone signal will have no problem penetrating the top on that Hyundai Accent. It'll have no problem doing that. Believe me, the roof of your Toyota Tercel is not going to interfere with the cell phone signal. I assure you. I know she probably got that iPhone 2 is hooked up to the cigarette lighter. What? So when you only got a 2-cylinder engine, he or she might be scared the car is going to cut off with that 2-cylinder engine. But in any case, so folks, for those of us who are no longer sucking the symbolic bass pipe, for those of us who ain't getting stoned on symbolism, this is a scary thing. So they have to appeal to folks who they don't give a damn about being black and broke, black and bummy, black and stupid, black and destitute. They get to go dance the Dougie with a politician like you're a little kid watching the Teletubbies. How silly are you? Very. But to them, that's all they need. Somebody to acknowledge them. So these individuals suffering from this really severe, lack of self-esteem, it's real weird. Let me get over here on Zoom and see. We have a Christian on Zoom, whoever Christian is. Not sure who Christian is, but their signal is real slow. So this might be goodness rated. This signal is real slow here. It's just, it keeps saying connecting. So this actually might be them. Put the car in park and then just put your foot on the gas so you can get the engine to rev up some more. Don't try to do this, with the car and drive. Don't do that. Your headlights will start dimming. I know you got your cell phone hooked up to cigarette lighter. Your headlights will start dimming. So don't try it like that. Put the car in park. Like when you got a bad alternator, put the car in park and then put your foot. Okay, they hung up or their signal dropped or whatever. So yeah, put your car in park and just tap your foot on the gas just a little bit to get the RPMs on the engine up some. I'm just saying that Geo Metro is doing its best. What? I'm not trying to stress your Geo Metro here. I'm not trying to do that. So, yeah. In any case, that's what they're doing over there, is trying to see if they can recycle symbolic things and if we'll go for it. That's the same damn playbook, people. No changes. No changes. But as bad as the Democrats are right now, the Republicans have gained a particular piece of ire with me. They really, really have. You see, I came across something earlier today, and I'm going to play this for you all so that nobody can say that I'm taking it out of its context. I'm going to play this for you all so that nobody can say I'm taking it out of context here. But I want you to be aware that there was something that I saw here, and to be totally honest, it sent my blood boiling. It sent my blood boiling. This is our old friend, Michael Bloomberg. He's on the philanthropy train. And I want you to hear this little bit of news.
Today on Forbes, billionaire Michael Bloomberg is creating a charter school to HBCU pipeline for Black students. Michael Bloomberg, who donated $600 million in 2024 to support medical schools at 4 historically Black colleges and universities, known as HBCUs, has a new plan to back Black education, funding K-12 charter schools on HBCU campuses.
Yeah, you heard that right. He wants to finance charter schools in Alabama, or a charter school in Alabama for a school to HBCU pipeline for the Black children.
Last week, the billionaire former New York City mayor's Bloomberg Philanthropies and the education nonprofit City Fund announced a $20 million initiative to fund 2 public schools in Alabama, one at Stillman College and one at Tuskegee University, that will create direct pipelines into HBCUs and promote career success. The funds will go toward the D.C. Wolf Charter School in Shorter, Alabama, which is being converted from D.C. Wolf Elementary School and expected to open near Tuskegee University in fall 2026, and the I Dream Big Academy on Stillman's campus, which recently opened as the first HBCU charter school partnership in Alabama. Students who attend the schools will be able to take dual enrollment courses at the universities and participate in community internships. Jasmine Jenkins, Senior Program Officer for Education and Advocacy at Bloomberg Philanthropies.
Did he say Jasmine Jenkins or Jasmine Jenkins? So, all right.
Says, quote, "There are 2 schools that have been announced, and there are a few more in the pipeline that we're really excited about. This is a continuation of the work that Mike Bloomberg and Bloomberg Philanthropies has been doing for over a decade, supporting high-quality public charter schools and supporting the work that historically Black colleges and universities have been doing for decades." Bloomberg laid the foundation for this partnership, launched in conjunction with the United Negro College Fund, or UNCF, when he made a $10 million donation to UNCF in 2022 to support K-12 charter school programs benefiting Black students. The hope now is to expand from the 2 schools to the rest of Alabama, the South, and eventually nationwide. The effort,
oh good, he would like to bring this to a school near you.
Funded by $10 million from Bloomberg Philanthropies and $10 million from City Fund, comes amid a surge of major billionaire gifts flowing into HBCUs in recent months, totaling more than $800 million. Much of that comes from philanthropist Mackenzie Scott, who has donated some $700 million to HBCUs over the past 3 months.
Hey folks, how's that? Has anybody felt the breeze from that, by the way? Biden gave hundreds of millions of dollars. Trump talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. Mackenzie Scott, hundreds of millions of dollars. By the way, is anybody at these HBCUs, have y'all been feeling the breeze yet? I mean, $700 million, you should have a whole damn new campus. You can build an entire school for that. So $700 million, I'm just, along with all the other so-called money out there, y'all, I'm just asking, hey, is anybody feeling the breeze yet? I mean, McKenzie allegedly did that a couple of years ago, remember? So, is anybody feeling that yet? I'm asking for a friend. Has anybody felt it yet? No? Nobody. Okay.
Including a $19 million unrestricted donation to Dillard University and a $38 million unrestricted gift to Xavier University of Louisiana. Home Depot co-founder and Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank pledged $50 million to Atlanta's HBCUs in October. Bloomberg, who Forbes estimates to be the world's 17th richest person, worth $109.4 billion, has been a major HBCU supporter for years. He made a $100 million commitment to reduce medical school debt at 4 HBCUs before making the $600 million commitment to Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science, Howard University College of Medicine, Meharry Medical College, and Morehouse School of Medicine in 2024. HBCUs have produced 40% of all black engineers in the country.
So, they talk about black engineers. They don't show a picture of a black engineer. They show this one. I just thought I would point out that, by the way, they wanted to let you know that, they're funding for black engineers and, just couldn't help but notice that.
HBCUs have produced 40% of all black engineers in the country, 50% of black lawyers, 70% of black doctors, and 80% of black judges, according to a 2024 White House fact sheet. Bloomberg's new initiative builds on a long, though not widely known, history of HBCU-affiliated K-12 schools that includes Howard University's Howard Middle School, Delaware State University's Early College School, Florida A&M University's FAMU Developmental Research School, and Southern University's Lab School. Starting this project in Alabama, where charter schools are still relatively new, is expected to be high impact. Until 2015, Alabama was one of 8 states without public charter legislation. More than a third of children and teens aged 5 to 17 in the state's Black Belt region, where Stillman and Tuskegee are located, live below the poverty level, a rate significantly higher than the statewide average of 20%. In many Black Belt counties, residents have been calling for more high-quality school options. The charter school affiliated with Stillman, I Dream Big Academy, opened this August, and the college's president, Yolanda Page, says she already is seeing benefits. She says, quote, "Middle school students have access to field and faculty experiences on campus, and when they reach 9th grade, they'll be able to enroll in dual enrollment courses at Stillman. This puts them on the path to their degree earlier than they had anticipated." For full coverage.
Okay. Yeah. Stillman College president. She likes this. I wonder how much she got. No shade, but yeah, she thinks this is great. I wonder how much she got. Because we've been hearing about money going to these so-called schools all this time, by the way. I wonder how much she got. I wonder how much. Folks, I'm not here to cast aspersions. I am not here to do that. That's not my reason for it. I want to get down to some reality here. I want to get down to some reality. I want you to understand that this is more symbolic stuff. A lot of you might not understand exactly what the reasons are. You might not understand that. But you got to understand that these folks here, they write these things off. When you have people who make billions of dollars, these are the way this is how they funnel things so they can write this stuff off. You do realize that this is what they've been doing since the beginning, right? The HBCUs were set up by whom? White folk. white folk philanthropists from the very beginning for all of their newly released slaves. It was the manner in which many of them assuaged their guilt. But the HBCU started as a white philanthropy project in order to domesticate the newly released slaves, to integrate and domesticate the newly released slaves so that they would be more interested in plugging into the American social order than in revolution. They did it so that our great-great-great-grandfathers and great-great-great-grandmothers would be more interested in plugging into the American social order than in mounting revolution. That was the reason, that was the purpose, to facilitate integration before something else popped off. And had they kept their white brothers and sisters in line, as opposed to sitting back silently after the more than one great betrayal and the bombing of the Black Wall Streets, things that they did not tolerate happening to other groups, but that they sat back and silently condoned against us, genocide, lynching, and everything else. If they had kept their white brothers and sisters in line, then maybe it would have worked. If they had kept white supremacy in check, well, then your philanthropic efforts might have actually borne fruit. You wouldn't be a century and a half later still trying to milk the well and see if you can keep that revolution thing from popping off. You wouldn't still be doing that. But I am not going to spare any blows on this subject. I'm offended. I am grossly offended by this, by both Michael Bloomberg and Mackenzie Scott and anybody else. I'm grievously offended about this. And the reason why this offends me and should offend you is because they're willing to pass money just so long as they know it's not actually going to cultivate anything. It looks good on headlines. Who knows if they ever actually give the amount of money they claim that they did, because y'all know that's a little hustle too, not giving the amount of money. They get a headline and then don't give the amount of money they claim they were going to give. But by the way, yeah, this is the little scam that gets run in this regard, because you see, we didn't ask you to bring us yet another scholarship. That's not what we asked for. That's not what was taken from us. Let me explain something to you folks. Is Donald Trump a beneficiary of a great education?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no.
Is Donald Trump a beneficiary of a wonderful education, of a fantastic intellect? Is Donald Trump the highest achieving kid in class? He was always on time, always paying attention. Is his success a testament to the American education system on any level? Is there any school that wants to claim him as their star pupil? While you're telling me about the value of charter schools, that our kids, quote unquote, need that to succeed. And I'm looking at George W. Bush. I'm looking at Donald Trump. I'm looking at Mark Zuckerberg. I'm looking at Elon Musk, who can't even read. I'm looking at a whole bunch of folk here saying, wait a minute now. I know how they succeeded. And trips by the schoolhouse dough, that wasn't how they did it. And they got they literally have more. We can literally name 5 white men who have more money than all the black folk in America and the Western Hemisphere combined. And they're coming back to us talking about, now, if we can just get you all in yet another school. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This time, this school is going to work. No, it's not just Bill Gates. It's not just people. I'm telling you, you can all go Google this right now for yourselves. Practically every one of your Silicon Valley icons are college dropouts. The whole damn list, from Microsoft to Apple to Mark Zuckerberg to Sam Altman, even the new ones, Elon Musk, Ellison, the whole damn list of the world's multi-billionaires today reads like a list of college dropouts. Now, they run the damn world and are sitting on 90% of the wealth, and yet no degree required. While they're flinging the degree, waving it in your face, telling you the only problem here is you ain't got enough degrees. The only problem is we haven't got your kids plugged into the college system. You mean the same college system Trump was plugged into? You mean that one? Hey, why don't you plug us into the one Trump got plugged into? How about that? Don't let these people sit up here and bull jive you and fool you. This is not about your children being stupid. What I'm saying is that, by the way, you live in a system of capitalism. Once you get to a certain damn point, you ain't got to sit up here and worry about having degrees. The people who run the world are not the A students or the valedictorians. That's what nobody wants to sit up here and have an honest conversation with you about. The people who run the world are not the valedictorians. The people who run the world are the C students. As 50 Cent said, the A students have been taught to succeed in the classroom, and what they don't understand is that the world is not a classroom. And that's why the C students beat the A students. The A students have been taught to succeed in the classroom, and they never realize that the real world is not a classroom. The rules that apply in the school are not the rules that apply out here. Schools teach everything except the most important thing you could be taught: power dynamics. They don't discuss power dynamics in school. They discuss them at their white churches, their white civic clubs, their white political organizations, their white super PACs. Shout out Turning Point. And when they get over there, ain't no damn rules. Now, that's where they discuss and indoctrinate you to power dynamics. Power dynamics run the world, not the valedictorians. That's the difference. So when they indoctrinate you with this stuff and fool you with this stuff and tell you, don't worry, we're going to get your kids gamed up, and meanwhile their children are not doing that. Steve Jobs handed your children an iPhone and an iPad. He wouldn't let his children use one. I wonder why. Mark Zuckerberg is very much the same way. In case somebody didn't tell you, take a look at Donald Trump's kids. We'll go down that lane. Yeah, the stuff they pitch to you and your kids, that's not what they do. That's what they hand to you. Yeah, but that's not what they do. Yeah, because that's not how they got ahead. That's damn sure not how they got in charge. Michael Bloomberg, I don't want to hear a damn thing from you until you bring us what you bring your people. Oh, I'm going there. Yeah, I'm going there. I don't need to hear a damn thing from you until you bring us what you bring your people. Well, Jason, what does he bring his people? He brings his people this. This is what he brings his people. This is what he brings them. He don't bring them no damn charter schools. This is what he brings his. Right here. He does this for his people while he's got you sitting up here clapping like a dime store monkey doll. Great right here. It's wonderful here. That's not what he's doing for his folk. And I'm not bringing you all from somewhere else, from Cornell University, Cornell Tech. Let me go ahead and show you all the article here. While they want us to celebrate a decade later, he gave them $100 million a decade ago. What did he give them? What is this for? The first academic building will be named the Bloomberg Center in honor of Emma and Georgina Bloomberg. Dateline, New York City. You can see the whole thing here. But the innovative new campus opened summer of 2017. Listen to this. Combining academia and industry to launch new companies and products. Damn! So you mean he didn't go to them to set up a charter school or scholarships? He's going there and using the university as a business incubator and putting them straight into business and enterprise. He ain't got them running around the damn world like dogs chasing their damn tails. He's going straight and doing what they did. Mark Zuckerberg, Harvard Business School, and the rest of them. He going to them talking about we're going to combine school and industry, not school and college, school and scholarship, school and HBCU. No, he's telling him, no, don't worry about that charter school. That's the lie we give them Negroes over there. When you come to this school here at Cornell, your classroom studies, you will be directly put together with folk like Professor Scott Galloway, directly into business. No, that other bull jive, that's just we tell the niggas to sit up here and stall them. We have them chasing their tails like dogs. We don't do that over here. That's the lie we give them. This is their press release, people. This is their notification they proudly gave. Who's going to argue with me now? Where is this gift he gonna give? If he's going to give a gift, why doesn't he give this one to the black students? Why is it that this particular gift is oddly, curiously absent from every single one of these so-called generous white philanthropists? None of them are setting up anything like this anywhere. Now, they set it up for their kids. They set it up for their children. They set it up for their people. They come over here to us and all of a sudden they don't know how to do this for us. What they did for everybody else, they think we need something different. Oh, no, Negroes. You're not ready for that. And Trump was? Yeah. You're not ready for that. I mean, you haven't even proven you can graduate. Trump didn't. Mark Zuckerberg didn't. Sam Altman didn't. What the hell? They didn't have to graduate. You didn't talk like that to them. They didn't graduate. As incredibly articulate as Elon Musk is, we all hear how blazingly articulate he is. And you're not requiring that of him. Now, how is it you're not requiring that of him, but you got a million damn excuses when you get over here to us? If you got $600 million to give, hey, that's more than enough to get this damn business incubator going over here. We can stop by Hampton. We can stop by Fisk. And we can go ahead and get this popping so that these young black people finally have capital so that they can start moving their ideas into the real world, as opposed to their ideas just sitting there. But, well, you can't do anything with it because ain't no money. Oh, well, don't worry. We'll get you another scholarship. And don't worry, if you Negroes work for the next 20 years, you can get your credit score up and whatnot, and then put all that together. Go ahead and see you can put all that together. In the chat room, Nikki D needs to give me a call up on Zoom here. So we're going to get Nikki D to call us up on Zoom. Nikki D, you got 2 minutes to be on Zoom here. So glad you have such blazing insights. We'll give you 2 minutes to be on Zoom, or we're going to make sure that you get famous. That works too. So, folks, and I would love to tell you it stops there, but oh, no. I did not bring receipts. I brought invoices. I don't tell you what you paid. I tell you what you owe, because this is not the only one. Folks, you can look up Michael Bloomberg and Y Combinator. Go take a look up Michael Bloomberg and Y Combinator. He has been given venture capital money. He's been given money for startups to the tune of tens of millions, at this point, hundreds of millions of dollars. He's been doing that. Michael Bloomberg has been given money to startups a while ago. A while ago. That's what's going on. So how is it that he's been giving all this money to folks, to startup companies, incubate startups? He's perfectly great for that. But when nobody wants to do that, when they come talk to us, nobody talks about investing. They talk about charity and handouts that they themselves can control, because just like here at Cornell, he gets to control how that money gets used. When they give money to a HBCU, they only do it if they can control how the money is used. You see, when you invest in a company, that has the potential to get away from you. Y'all go take a look at when Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, the so-called PayPal mafia, you go, by the way, two Afrikaners. What? Damn! What? Oh yeah, by the way, one more thing. I would be remiss if I didn't remind you all that, in case you didn't know, y'all know Elon Musk is an Afrikaner. For those of you who didn't know, so is Peter Thiel. I know we don't talk about that very often. Folks kind of let that slip their minds. But by the way, that South Africa connection with all of the racist stuff that goes along with it. But so the Afrikaners, they can get money to start up PayPal. Okay, but what happened after that? They started up PayPal. And then immediately started pushing each other out the damn boat. Peter Thiel's like, Elon got to go. Peter Thiel and Elon, they got along for about 5 seconds. Next thing you know, when the money start rolling in, okay, this dude over here got to go. Take a look at Sam Altman with Elon Musk. Folks, when you start throwing around big money, when the investment gets made, all of a sudden, they ain't gonna need you. Next thing you know, it can get away from you. Next thing you know, they can get away from you. So they're showing you they only want to invest if they can control it. If they can control it and control you, then they'll take a chance on it. But Michael Bloomberg has made hella contributions to that. Hella contributions. But when he shows up in front of our children, all of a sudden, well, look here, little kiddies, let's make a charter school for the college students. Well, hey, why don't we see about, see if we can maybe figure out some way to, I don't know, another scholarship. These other folk, they just skip right past the bull jive and get right to industry. Why is it they're not having this conversation? Don't believe me, folks, you all can go and look all these things up about Michael Bloomberg and Y Combinator and venture capital and startups. Yeah, whole different conversation from the one he has when he shows up with us. Right there at Cornell Tech, at Cornell University, when he goes to their school, them folk they would have told him to kiss their ass talking about scholarships. They're like, yeah, try that on them niggas. Don't try to play that bull jive over here with us. Don't try that over here with us. Don't try that with us. In the chat room, KH Ninth. So glad you asked. We're going to get KH Ninth up here on Zoom for us now. So absolutely. Look here. I need you to understand, for the folks out there who think, just understand, if you think trolling is a strategy, I mean, it doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. It's not going to work the way you fantasize to yourself it will. That's not going to work. It's not a winning strategy. The only thing we're going to do is have you call up and show everybody how smart it really is. That's all. We're just going to do that. Y'all need to understand, to the Democrat ass kissers and the people who went to college and they're refusing to accept that it didn't work, these are body blows that have busted their spleens open. So of course they're angry. They're angry, they're mad, they're resentful. They kissed Democrats' asses for decades to get a green card, to get some food stamps, to get a pat on the head. They've been dreaming their whole lives about dancing the Dougie. And just understand, for them to have to hear in real time that it was all for nothing and that people think they were stupid, that breaks their souls, man. They've been walking around pretending nobody knows how dumb I was. Hey, nobody knows. Yeah, they all see it. What the hell you doing, nigga? It becomes that. So they were not ready for things to go so bad so quickly, especially so publicly. That wasn't in the cards. That wasn't the plan. That was not the plan at all. So, and understand, a lot of them are Democrat plants. They're Democrat plants. They're Democrat shills. They see that we're talking about these campaigns. Y'all remember, every time the campaigns come up, all of a sudden the Democrat operatives, this is supposed to be their online strike force. I need you to understand, these are their online operatives. These are the online strike force that is going to debunk these things and ask the hard-hitting questions that will stop you in your tracks. And then we say, give him a microphone, bring him up front. Wait, no. We don't do that now. Okay, well then I don't have to debunk you just debunk yourself. But I need folks to see that they run, people. Just like their politicians that they've kissed ass on for so long, they run. Of course they run. They don't want to have to answer any of those questions. They don't want to have to admit that they're wrong or lying or both. They don't want any of that. It's so much harder for them to sell the garbage today that they used to sell. It's just so much harder. So much harder. But I want to go a little bit further into this here, folks. I want to go a little bit further into this because I don't want you all to be deceived about it. I want to go a little bit further into this because, you see, Michael Bloomberg really got his start in investment banking. So while Michael Bloomberg is telling you and your kids that they need to go to charter school, while he's off telling you and your kids that, well, that's not what he did. That's not what he did. Him and Bill Ackman, who can get administrators at Harvard removed from their jobs, well, that's not what they did. They went in investment banking. Okay, well, I got a few questions. Well, hey, Michael Bloomberg, if I wanted to get started in investment banking, I want to go ahead and do that. You know what you did? Well, you're going to find that that's not quite as easy as you might think. Because you see, where the real wealth is, that's where the white privilege is. That's where the D.E. White is. While they talk about DEI, that's where the D.E. White is. You see, over there, they only talk to their white friends over there. Your degree doesn't mean anything, but don't believe me. Let's take it from corporatefinanceinstitute.com, Guide to Getting a Job in Investment Banking. After spending several years in investment banking, we've seen hundreds of resumes and conducted countless interviews with new analysts and associates. The advice below is a guide based on my first-hand experience of what is the most effective way to get a job in investment banking. Great. Tell me about the schools. Tell me about the degrees. Tell me about the scholarships. Tell me about the PhD. You know we love going to school over here in Black Society. We're ready for it, man. About time somebody told us what the real game is. All right. Step one. Networking and resume. What? Wait a minute. I thought, but Michael Bloomberg wants us to go to charter school and HBCU. You didn't say the first step is what class we take. You said the first step is networking and resume. Well, maybe he'll explain a little bit better here. The first step on your path to an investment banking career is to get an interview. Investment banking is extremely competitive with way more applicants than available positions each year. You will often be up against students from Ivy League universities with high GPAs and multiple internships under their belts. How can I use networking to get an investment banking interview? Number one, an easy way to start networking is to talk to your career center and ask to be introduced to any alumni working at investment banks that you want to target. So in other words, you need to know somebody who knows somebody who can put you in touch with somebody. The person at your career center, they know an alumni who is working at the investment bank. For step number one, you need to know somebody who knows somebody. People, the damn door for D.E. White is locked before you ever get there. And they know this. This is all about put you on the hamster wheel and coming up with excuses for why the doors are locked. This is D.E. White. Another approach is to use LinkedIn and find any connections. So it's a damn treasure hunt. Find any connections who can introduce you to bankers you want to network with. What the hell kind of fantasy talk is this? These are not specific instructions. These are not specific instructions. Did you notice that once again when they talk to each other is a whole damn different conversation when they talk to us? Isn't that amazing? Do y'all see what's going on here? Nothing about your degree. Nothing about you got to get great grades. Nothing about your PhD. None of that garbage that the Megan Ku Klux Kelly or Tucker the Sucker Carlson or any of these other liars out there would tell you. This is all D.E. White. You have to be white and you have to be in. A third approach is to join a local CFA society in your city and network with local professionals who may, they might, somebody might know an investment banker and introduce you. I'm going to stop here because I think for a lot of you, there are a lot of y'all right now sitting on tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt. Some of y'all got your 7 series and other things. You're sitting on tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt and your blood's boiling right now because you know this is a bunch of garbage. And I have folk who I've talked to here and they are in investment banking. I encourage them to get their 7 series, but I told them, man, it's not going to come down to your degree, your ability to network and get folk. And for black folk, networking means politicking. So you end up like damn me Charles Payne on Fox Business, and after you've kissed white ass for 2 or 3 decades, you can finally make $1 million. The folk you kissed ass on this whole 20 years, they're making $1 billion. You kissed ass for 20 years so you can make $1 million. And they make 1,000 times what you get. But you sure did suck ass for 2 decades to get that $1 million. And they passed you in the first year while you were still fighting to make 80,000. That's the garbage that they do. In the chat room, Brazen Love, but you're not an investment banker. No disrespect. Analyst is not an investment banker. So, and they just got to like you. What do you got to do to get them to like you? I'd be very interested to know what you did to get them to quote unquote like you. But yeah, first of all, we're talking about investment banking. Second of all, to get them to like you. Yeah, because we all see how likable Stephen Cohen is and Bill Ackman is and Mike Bloomberg is and Donald Trump is. We all see how quote likable they are. Yeah, real likable. Yeah, those are real likable personalities, aren't they? Yeah, folks, when folks just say things, they just say things. In any case, well, some of you might not like this. Well, Jason, that's just one website. You know what? You're absolutely right. That's just one. Damn, he came ready. I brought invoices for you here. Don't worry. You can jump out the window now if you want to. I'm busting guts and busting souls tonight. This one here is from Yale. Oh, boy. From the Yale School of Management. Oh, you don't want to get into this. You don't want to be an ass kisser who thinks he's going to defend the status quo. Not with me, you don't. Let's ask Yale what the guide is to investment banking recruiting. Let's see what this one will tell you. Investment banking is a high-stakes, fast-paced industry. Where's my dramatic music? In which professionals help companies with big financial decisions, such as buying or selling other companies, M&A, or raising money. It offers a unique mix of financial expertise, relationship building, and high-pressure deal making. This is billions and billions. Next season on Showtime. This guide will provide an overview of what to expect and how to prepare. We're going to shift past these. Well, you know what? I'm just going to read this part right here. The growing offices, okay, they're in Charlotte, Chicago, San Francisco, Miami. The shift from generalist to practice group hiring. Many banks are moving away from hiring into their generalist pool. Many banks are moving away from hiring into their generalist pool. Instead, they are increasingly hiring candidates directly into specific coverage groups. They are hiring candidates directly into specific coverage groups. This approach allows banks to build deeper expertise from day one, placing a greater emphasis on demonstrating a focused interest in a particular industry during the recruitment process. Great. What are the recruitment considerations? Now that you all know they're going to just put you in directly. The investment banking industry values diverse backgrounds. Then why is everybody white? Especially at the MBA level. Scam. Prior finance experience is a plus, not a must. Did you get that? Oh, having prior finance experience, that also means what you went to school for. Well, that's a plus, but it's not a requirement. People, this is DE White. They can make up the rules however they want to. When you show up, they'll tell you you don't have prior finance experience. That's why we didn't hire you. And if you do have prior finance experience, they'll tell you, well, that's not enough to hire you either. So do you see what they're doing here? Prior finance experience is a plus, not a must. And banks are very open to candidates from other fields. Wow. Other fields, you mean outside of finance? So in other words, they can hire somebody ahead of you, even if you have an MBA. They can hire somebody from a completely different field and tell you we're being creative. He has a degree in biology. We're going to put him in our healthcare coverage group. Brad's son over here has a degree in biology. Well, yeah, Mr. Jenkins, yeah, you have an MBA from Harvard, but we're going to hire Brad's son because we need somebody who can understand. We're going to put him in our healthcare coverage group. Then you come back and find out they never put him there. So I'm just explaining to you all how this plays out in practice, how these things are relevant and how it plays out in practice. The key, oh good, is to be liked, somebody said. Nonsense. The key is to show how your past skills can be used in an investment banking role. Another key consideration is recruiting for boutique banks or bulge brackets. Boutique banks often offer more hands-on experience. Oh, you mean like Michael Bloomberg is by building these incubators in these colleges? Yeah, he's not giving out scholarships in charter schools. He's just giving them direct experience. You mean like that? while bulge bracket banks provide a broader deal flow and global exposure. In other words, they take you on trips and open up doors you can't open on your own. You know, just like being able to get somebody, you got to know somebody to get you into banking. The recruitment process. Internships versus full-time. For those of you who don't know what internships are, you need to learn. The path to a full-time role in investment banking is usually, which means they can pick and choose, usually through a summer internship, as summer internship return offer decisions are made in August. Some additional full-time positions may, y'all know everything is may, might, usually, could be, may open from mid-August through the fall. If you don't get a return offer or are a student in a one-year program, you can pursue these campus program opportunities around this time. Beyond campus opportunities, graduating students with previous IB experience international banking experience, may qualify for just-in-time hiring and lateral roles that open in the spring. Folks, do you hear this nonsense? The recruiting process for MBA summer internships is highly structured. It typically starts in the fall of your first year with corporate presentations and networking events. Networking events. Application deadlines are usually in the late fall or early winter. Why networking is essential, people. Networking isn't a college degree. It's not a GPA. How do I prove that I'm the best networker and that they didn't hire me because I'm black? That they're only hiring white dudes? Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein didn't need none of this mess. But yeah, thank you for pointing that out. None of them needed Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, you name it. People, how do you prove that you are the best networker? If this is about networking is essential, how do I prove that I did enough networking? And how do you prove that I didn't? Do you all see what the problem is? How do you measure how good my networking is? How do you measure it? Was my networking good, fair, great, fantastic? How do I prove I'm a great networker? If these people say my networking's no good, well, how do I prove that they're wrong? That they only hired the white guys because, don't you see all this? D.E. White. No, networking doesn't mean you know a higher up in the company. Networking means you are white and you know people. It means you are white and you know people. Let's stop with the bull jive. You are white and you know people. You can know every damn body. They're all going to tell you no. If you're not white, they're going to tell you no. Unless you're the designated ass kisser, you'll be the one Negro, the Charles Payne, the Byron Donalds. You'll be the one pet Negro who's so desperate to get in that you'll overlook the fact that they're not giving you nothing to eat. No, you have to be white. Take a look at the staff. Take a look at the bankers. Take a look at the trading floor. You have to be white. It is not enough to know somebody. You can know everybody in the damn company. The CEO and the president will tell you, get out of my damn office. If you're not white, that ain't enough. Networking is crucial to IB recruiting and required by hiring teams. It's not just about getting your resume seen. It's about building relationships and showing your genuine interest. Coffee chats. Now, this is what I want to get to for all of you. Coffee chats are frequent and expected before applying to roles, people. So in other words, they're saying that somebody needs to invite you out for coffee. These are social events, not job events. This has nothing to do with your school or your job. They have to invite you out for coffee. That's what they're telling you. They have to invite you out for coffee. Are you kidding me? Yes, this is the networking thing. Yes, coffee chats, the golf course, the civic club. Hey, we're having a luncheon, not the Roland Martin bootlicking catfish Democrat luncheons. Folks, they're telling you, well, yeah, somebody has to like you and invite you out for lunch or coffee or something. They have to do that. And if that doesn't happen, well, too bad. Too bad. So I have to get them to, hey, we're going somewhere after work for coffee or work for drinks. I have to get that. Coffee chats are frequent and expected before applying. Yeah, this is D.E. White. You should aim to connect with a variety of people, starting with SOM alumni, as they are often your strongest supporters and your path connecting with other bankers throughout the practice group. But if you're black and you're not a member of any of the white groups, if you're black and you're not a member of the white fraternity, if you're black and the white dudes don't rock with you because they guard all these positions for themselves, well, if I'm black and I don't have any white folk who are interested in having a Negro bootlick, what do I do? This is not about degrees or grades, people. This is about whether or not the white folk, it's at their discretion whether or not they approve you. You can't prove that you're qualified. And this isn't dependent on your grades. That's what I'm trying to drill through everybody's heads here. This isn't dependent on where you went to elementary school, what charter school, what HBCU, Ivy League, what degree you have. Do you see? They're telling you, oh, none of that applies here. All that's out the window. You can become an investment banker simply off of who you know. No degree required, no prior experience required. If you know the right folk, we'll take care of the rest. Now, you see, if Michael Bloomberg went ahead and threw that $600 million into a business incubator, a startup incubator, and let us do what we do, let us get the hustle on and make it do what it do. Because, see, now you got a bunch of free radicals. And let me explain something to y'all. There are a bunch of you sitting in here right now. You have got ideas. You got everything you need. The only thing you don't have is the capital. They have everybody running around chasing their tails, when the reality is there's a bunch of y'all would make some major stuff pop off or some very significant things pop off. The only thing you're lacking is the capital. You're lacking capital. And let's be very, very clear. There's a place in this world for starting small. That's very, very true. But there's some stuff that, if you got $1 million idea, it takes $1 million to get it off the ground. You can't have $1 million idea and you got $50,000 to work with. If you have $1 million idea, it takes $1 million to get that off the ground. Otherwise, it is a hypothetical. And they got us sitting over here talking about their hypotheticals. Meanwhile, when they talk to their kids, they don't talk hypothetical. They bring the bag. They bring the bank. They cut the check. And I'm talking about they give them enough people, $600 million. That's a major company. How the hell do you lose? And you start off with $600 million, people. If you saw a company that made $600 million in its first year, that's not a small business. People, $100 million, that's not a small business. $1 million is a small business. $100 million, you're already a major company. $100 million, wait a minute, we're starting you off as a major. You didn't start on the ground and get up in the air. We started you up in the air at 60,000 feet. You're already high flying from day one. Now tell me, how the hell do you lose if I start you off with $100 million, folks, do you realize how incompetent you would have to be to lose if I start you off with $100 million? Do you realize how idiotically inept you'd have to be to fail if I stuff your pockets with $100 million? How the hell would you lose? Answer, you won't. Not unless you're running a scam. If I start you with 100, understand something. Elon Musk was not the smartest guy. You have $100 million. You can go hire somebody to run the damn company instead. Folks, realize with $100 million, I don't even need you to run the company. $100 million, we'll go hire somebody else to run it. That's just how impossible it will be to fail. In the chat room for the Slow Bus Kids, WeWork was not real. It was not legit. So please Google. Please Google. Just Google. A lot of y'all don't understand that a lot of these startups are by folk who are just pitching these ideas so they can go ahead and get the venture capitalists to stuff them with a bunch of money, and then they cash out their stocks or whatever, and then they sitting on a few $1 billion. That is a whole bunch of pump and dumps out there, man. There are a whole bunch of companies that are nothing but pump and dumps. The so-called founder, they get a bunch of folks to give them the startup money, and then he stuffs his pockets and off he runs. He was not trying to run anything. So for those of you who didn't know, that's the way that goes down. Okay. All right. Hey, Google, just Google it. Just Google it, people. Just Google it. Bunch of folks out there do that. Mark Cuban, broadcast.com. We can go down the list. I have to remember a lot of black folk are not privy to these things, so they hear about these things. They don't know the inside track or what really occurred. But folks, that a lot of these startups, yeah, there are a bunch of folks who want to be the next Apple, but then there's a bunch of them like, man, you know what? Let me run these folks' pockets. Let me come up with a big idea. It sounds great. It sounds big. Let me get $100 million of investment. Let me put $50 million of that in my pockets. Let me get $1 billion of investment. Let me put $100 million of that in my pockets, and I'm out. There's a whole bunch of that. Whole bunch. So, in case y'all didn't know. People, I went through this long explanation tonight to let you know that this is that damn Band-Aid stuff. These are not intended to help us. These are intended for these people to get, they can sit up here and write this stuff off on their taxes, deduct it on their taxes or whatever. Maybe some of them are feeling guilty about the next world. They should, because take a look what you're doing in this one. And worst of all, they already know everything I'm saying. People, they know that they locked the doors. They know that you're in a system of capitalism, and they got all kinds of doors and all kinds of gatekeepers that they locked. They locked them. It's not accidental that all the doors are locked. You go to the bank. You go to Ivy League school, you're in a different room from the white kids. The white kids are getting together on the weekend. Nobody's you can't force these people to invite you to hang out with them. So you can become an investment banker if you can convince the white kids with connections to let you hang out with them. That's literally what they're saying. Michael Bloomberg was an investment banker. That's how he made his billions. He is not coming to these black schools with these black children in elementary school or these black young people in college and sitting down and talking to them about how to start their own investment banking firm. And he's not off the people $100 million. You can start an investment bank with that. Michael Bloomberg allegedly started with only $10 million. Folks, Michael Bloomberg, allegedly, when he got kicked out of Salomon Brothers, allegedly, he started with only $10 million. Well, Michael, if $10 million was enough for you, $100 million, well, that would, we're more efficient than you were, Michael. That would get 20 of us off the damn ground. Why isn't he saying, okay, I'm going to take this $100 million and I'm going to show y'all black folk over here about we're going to get, this will be enough for you to start your own investment banking firm, and I'm going to shepherd you all and coach you and mentor you. just like he was coached and mentored. Why doesn't he do that one? That would only take a year. Better yet, Michael, you can have one of your executives, one of the folk who you gamed up at your company. If you ain't got the time for it, you can have one of them come over. They can come show us how to get it done. You give him $100 million and you tell him don't come back till these Negroes got $1 billion investment bank. Don't come back till you got that. Now, if he got one of his subordinates, one of his executives, you get over there and get them Negroes gamed up. Don't come back till you do. Here's $100 million. Get them off the ground. Now explain to me why that conversation has never taken place. But you already know why. And this is why I have no regard, no respect, or anything else for the rest of them, because they're playing against us. They're playing a very vicious game against us. And no, I do not have a problem with the politicians wanting to juice all the billionaires. I don't want you all to be scared of that either. Do not be scared when they tell you the politicians are going to empty them billionaires' pockets. The billionaires are going to leave. Where the hell are they going to go? Stop falling for that nonsense. Where are they going to go? And here's the other thing. If they do pick up and leave, good! That would be great. Clear their asses out. We don't need Elon Musk. If Elon, we gonna pat his pockets down, we gonna run the jewels, and if him, Larry Ellison, and all the rest of them want to get up and leave, I'm not even gonna say goodbye. Carry your ass. We don't need more oligarchs and more robber barons. If you want to bounce, you can bounce. We don't need you. This thing will roll better without you. And you know it. So anytime you want to run, anytime you want to fly, bye. Deuces, fool. Don't you all fall for that. Run they pockets. Run the jewels. Pat them pockets down. Don't be afraid to run any of their pockets. Not a single one. They're not going anywhere. There's nowhere for them to go. They stole all the damn money. So do not let anybody sit up here and make you meek about we need to spare the billionaire. What will we do without them? You will step into their place. They're sucking up all the damn oxygen. You can't rise any further because they're hogging all the damn oxygen. Don't believe me, folks? Take a look at this right here. Damn! Let me zoom in on that. For those of you who didn't know, SpaceX is preparing to go public. They're preparing for an IPO. You want to know where Elon's $1 trillion could come from? It'll either come from Tesla or SpaceX. It doesn't matter. They're talking about valuing the company at damn near $1 trillion. These are your tax dollars. They made NASA a private company and handed it to Elon Musk. And now that he's used the tax dollars, now he wants to take the company private. Well, public is going to be private money. This is what the investment bankers do. You think you need them? We need them for what? We need them to steal more wealth. We need them to hoard more wealth. That's what we need. We need that. Man, don't talk stupid. Run their pockets. Run their pockets. Every single one. They've been eating good. Trust me when I say this to you all. I promise you beyond everything else, they will be aight. They will be just fine. When you make them come up off that gigafactory, he'll be just fine. He's got 4 or 5 mega yachts, 20 houses. He's got six or seven baby mamas, and he's got all of them living in penthouses in New York. That's what he's doing with the damn money. And your tax dollars paying for that? No, turn them upside down, shake them, run the pockets, run the jewels, break it off. And do not let any politician or their apparatchiks online, and by the way, y'all know this, none of them, not a single one of them have called up to defend any of it. They're just hoping that we're ADHD in a chat room, but none of them have called up to articulate why it's wrong and what we got wrong. You notice they didn't do that. Yeah, because that's not what they want to do. Now, if we were a lot dumber or something, they'd be glad to call in and see if they can talk you around in circles. But yeah, they've heard enough like, damn, he got us. Damn, they got us dead to rights. Well, post some stupid stuff in the chat room and hopefully you'll carve off one or two dummies. Hopefully. This is where they are today. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the link to the Zoom is there in the chat room and is available for all of you there. Anybody who was told to call up has already been banned, so we don't have to worry about inviting them to call in. But for the rest of you who would like to call up, you definitely do that. Remember the rules here when you get on Zoom. Please make sure that you have your camera and your microphone turned on just so I can see you as the host. YouTube will not see you. But just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues, please make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on when you call in on Zoom. Just to make sure that we have a conversation and not trolling. That's a very, very important point to have there as well. I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out to Nancy King. Great Analysis TBA, the intent is to do nothing for FBA. Thank you very much, ma'am. To Jay Diggle, resistance is our superpower, you damn right. Logic Before Emotion is giving out memberships. Black to Deaf is giving out memberships. Paula is giving out memberships. So thank you all for plugging them into the School of Black Empowerment. We appreciate that. Shout out to my man, Mr. Richburg. We appreciate that from you here as well, brother. Thank you very much for your support. And to all the rest of you here tonight, thank you for your support here as well. We're going to go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we'll go ahead and take your calls and more. This is the Black Channel.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Just to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we repping the gains. Listen, be the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And the link to the Zoom is up for us to go ahead and take calls. We're talking now about the Democrat and Republicans' band-aids. We've been dissecting that and debunking that. So let's go ahead and get Onan up here on Zoom for us here. Let me see if we can get Onan on Zoom. If we can't, then we'll do something a little bit different. All right, Onan, what's on your mind?
Can you hear me, Jason?
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
All right. So you brought up a point about people like Mike Bloomberg basically encouraging other kids to go to school and get a degree or some type of certification so they can qualify jobs, but they don't tell their kids that, instead they steer their kids toward investment and making money the way that their parents made. And I think that because the modern school system has become basically a business, where you incentivize people to get an education, you pay a certain amount of money.
Okay, let me give you a few moments here, Onan. Try to get in a different area in the apartment. Your neighbors next door, you need to move closer to your neighbor's Wi-Fi router next door. I need Onan to get closer to the neighbor's Wi-Fi router. So y'all get closer to Starbucks over there. I know it's cold out tonight. You might have to lean up against the wall. Let me give him a minute and we'll come back to him. Let me see if I can get James up here right quick. Let me see if we can get James up here right quick on Zoom. We got a bunch of folk on Zoom here right now, so we're probably stressing their little broadband connection. All right, James, what's on your mind?
Hey, how you do, sir? Thank you for this broadcast. This is highly entertaining, let alone informative. I normally would have been watching the Sunday night game, but this is just on another level of excitement. My question is to you is investment banking. Could or should we, as foundational Black Americans, incorporate this into our reparation?
Yes, sir. That's been the whole thing. When I talk about reparations across the board, cash payments is very, very good. But the other thing is we have not been mentored or we have not been coached in all these doors that are closed to us. That's the part that we need deciphered. We need folks to tell us, okay, we need for them to point out all these doors that they put in, all these locks they put in, so that we know whether or not we have legitimately hit a brick wall or whether, oh, no, this is a lock we put on this door here. This door doesn't open unless you know the right person. It's like, okay, yeah, we need to bust that lock off there. So we need the inside coaching is for us so somebody can tell us, yeah, this is you legitimately failing versus, oh, no, that's a door that we locked. You think you failed, but no, that's a door we lock. And we're the only ones supposed to get to that. So that's what we need. Because I've explained this to you all before. Money doesn't come out of thin air. Money comes from your government. The central bank sends that to all the other banks, including the investment banks. Okay, well, you have to, quote unquote, qualify to get that. Otherwise, you're only relegated to the income you get from your job. So money doesn't come from thin air. It comes through the banking system. It comes literally from the federal government, the Federal Reserve, and through the banking system. So if you don't have access to get the capital from the bank, you're basically relegated to your hourly job, and that's your access to the financial system. If you can't get a bank to give it up. So the investment banks are at a higher level in that food chain. Well, no wonder they're the ones who control what businesses get and what businesses don't. And it doesn't matter if they do a good job or a bad job because the government's just going to bail them out. So the banks get a bailout. You lose your job, you ass out. The banks mess up and they get a bailout. So they are directly propped up by the government. They're directly infused with cash by the government. The government does not send you $100 billion. They send Goldman Sachs. They send Merrill Lynch. They send Chase, not you. And so you're never going to be able to get to that level until you get access to the investment banking system. Your income will never be measured in billions until you get access to that. And with them telling you work harder, it's impossible for you to work hard enough to get $1 billion. It's physically impossible. You can't do it. The only way you get that is if you get access to that higher level banking system. And they got that locked and boxed. The wealth, when Dr. Claude Anderson talks about the wealth being frozen, that's what he means. They have autocratic control of it, and you can't get that kind of money without it. You can get a little penny-ass payday loan, but then again, that's not from the investment bank. Otherwise, you're locked out of the banking system. You're locked out of the bank system as far as capital. That's the problem. And if nobody explains it to you like that, dude, this is not a matter of you ain't working hard enough. If you don't have access to the investment banking system, you might get a house and take out your equity from it. Everything is the hard way that puts you at maximum risk. Mark Zuckerberg did not put up a $200 million to start Facebook. That was, quote, venture capital. Most of that comes from investment banks. So he did not walk into a bank and qualify for a $100 million loan. At no point did Mark Zuckerberg have to show his damn credit score to get funding. He never talked to a banker, never showed his credit score, never showed an income statement. He was a college student, damn it. While they got you thinking he's just smarter or he was just more qualified. No. Not him, not Sam Altman, not Elon Musk. Elon Musk didn't have to show anybody a credit statement, a credit score, income history. That's mess they say to you. So I just want you to know, the folks who get the real big money, by the way, not only did they get way bigger than you, they don't have to jump through any hoops. None.
Wow. So they can tell by our trends, if we were to get our reparation, to demolish some of our holdings, or if we incorporate investment banking, they might gravitate towards agreeing that we should have it because we have a more firm plan to how to stimulate this entire economy.
Long story short, in the modern era, investment banking is essential for nation building. You are not nation building with your local community bank. You're nation building with an investment bank. That's how you set up a gigafactory. That's how you set up a concrete factory that can service skyscrapers and bridges. Enough concrete to do your driveway, that's not nation building. Enough concrete to build Interstate 24, that's nation building. Right there. Right there. That's not millions of dollars. That's hundreds of millions and billions. That's why there are gatekeepers and doors locked, and it's been a century, and there's just this labyrinth of them. And along with everything else, we would have to have somebody to walk us through which of these is real and which ones are crap and garbage that you set up over here, and that's not really a door. Or it is a door, but you got it locked. So now that we can identify what's really a door and what isn't, now we know which doors to demand you to open. Because, brother, we don't even know which doors to demand to open right now. We have a vague idea about the big stuff, but we don't even know where the doors are. We don't even know what's a door and what's a wall. That's how intricate they got the damn thing locked down. So yes, investment banking to be a huge part of that. And so along with the reparations, remember, after slavery, they had no problem with Tuskegee and Booker T. Washington and whatnot. Okay, they love teaching Negroes little things. And so I'm like, okay, well, I got something else you're going to teach us now. And they shouldn't have a problem with it. They taught the Chinese. The Chinese right now, basically their whole auto industry is a knockoff of Tesla. They had no problem giving them all their technology. And folks, they gave it to them. Don't let anybody lie to you otherwise. Yeah, they steal some things, but you have to make a partnership with the Chinese to do business on their soil. So they have no problem gaming them up. They have no problem investment banking them. Okay, so great and wonderful, because the Chinese wouldn't play that game with them. They knew they were on bull jive, and they said, yeah, you're going to unlock all the doors before you can do business in China. We're not playing no games. You have to unlock all the doors. You have to show us where they are, and then we'll decide if we're going to do business with you. And that was the condition of doing business in China. And what do you know? China was able to get their economy together in 1 decade. Now that's what happens when nobody's blocking the doors anymore. It doesn't take centuries to fix this. It'll take you 1 decade. Oh, yeah. Nobody went to China about charter schools either. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, nobody went to them with the charter school bull jive neither. Let's go ahead and try Onan one more time here. Hopefully he's found a coffee table to stand on top of, or see if he can put his face up against the window or something there. Let's see if that works. Oh, dude, why is he dressed like Damn Me Cam back during the Pink era? What? All right, Onan, what's on your mind?
What's going on? So you brought up an interesting point.
Y'all, he sounds clear as hell right now, don't he? So what I told him was right. I told you, dude, get close to their Wi-Fi router. It'll work out for you. Oh, he's got he got the chinchilla coat on and everything. That big bear fur coat that New Yorkers wear that the rest of us don't know nothing about. That big bear coat. Every New Yorker's got the big bear coat. He got the big bear coat on right now, y'all.
OD, because it's like 15 degrees outside, so I'm not playing with this weather. But like I was saying, you had brought up an interesting point about people like Michael Bloomberg and other billionaires basically incentivizing other kids to go to school to get certifications and degrees, but they don't tell their kids to do the same. Like they rather have their kids go through getting their money through investments. And I think that's because the modern school has essentially become a business where it's basically selling a product to the students to keep students well educated enough to where they can be employees of the businesses that they will ultimately serve, but without, I guess, the autonomy necessary to start their own businesses themselves. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
There is absolutely no reason that you cannot discuss investment banking with our black middle schoolers, hell, or black elementary schoolers. Our children are the most economically, financially adept you're going to find. We set up here and made millionaires out of ourselves here with these folk locking doors and hiding information and stealing your assets. Young black children will take to that like a duck to water. They will have zero problem with that. But then again, that's how the white folk do with their kids. Michael Bloomberg, that's what he does. Do with our children what you do with yours, Mike. Do the same thing you do with yours. Our children are going to excel at it. The only thing our kids are missing is the damn money. That's all they're missing is the capital. And everybody knows it. There's no reason he cannot sit down and talk to them about, damn, all that charter school mess. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. Game them up about investment banking. There's no reason that a 10-year-old can't learn about that. None. Because he talks to his 10-year-olds about it.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, it's the point. You want to get them started early rather than trying to teach an old dog new tricks, as so the saying goes.
But more importantly, I want the children to understand why certain things don't work. They are absolutely saturated and drowning in misinformation from parents who either don't know or don't care or screwed up. I'm not going to put it all on them, but the children don't have a reliable source of information, so they know they need something. You're in New York City, 125th. They know they need something, and they know what it is, but it seems like nobody knows what it is, how you get it, where's the plug, what do you find? They're going through all these dead ends, and that's by design. Everything is intended to be futile by design for your children. So I want them to learn what's real and what isn't, because they already got the hunger for it. They already got the idea. We need to decipher for them where the lies are. About, hey, dude, this is the real reason you don't have $1 million. This is the real reason, not that bullcrap they told you about you just didn't show up for class enough. No. There's another reason. Because I'll be damned if you got a chick out here, Hawk whatever, and she can get a podcast, call me daddy, and we can go down the damn list. Britney Spears, but they're telling your kid the problem with your kid is they didn't go to a damn charter school. Kiss my ass. So their daughters can sit up here and all they got to do is have one TikTok go viral and here comes millions of dollars of funding, but they're telling you the problem for your kid. Oh, well, you didn't show up for class though. Oh, you haven't been to charter school enough. Oh, you haven't done weekend study. You haven't done summer school. And Trump did? So your kids aren't smart enough, but Trump is? George W. Bush? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you can't get me shame again. I'm the decider. Okay. Daddy gave him an oil company, or the Saudis did. Okay. But the problem is you're not going to class enough, folks. Just remember that. That's the real issue. The real issue is you're not going to class enough. If you would just go to charter school more, yeah. Now, these other folk over here, well, that's not required for them. Just you. That's the missing link for you. It's not the missing link for them. It's the missing link for you, though. All right, let's see if we can get Asia up here on Zoom right quick. Asia, I don't hear or see anybody, so please wake up. Asia, I can give you 5 seconds to get that together for me here. I got a bunch of folks sitting on the line, so I can't stall long. There you go, Asia. All right. She has her lashes together and everything. What's on your mind?
Hi, good evening. I'm from Boston. I'm calling because in places like Boston and Massachusetts where Black communities were displaced through policy, how do we stop extraction without a Black investment institution capable of buying land, financing development, and protecting communities from gentrification?
Ma'am, that is absolutely, positively, 1,000% it. Our whole push about stop talking to us about education, quote, education and scholarships. Stop talking to us about integration. We all about economics, and that's it. That is the bottom line. That's what the whole national conversation changing is about. I did not say it's going to plop in our laps, though. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We are way behind. A whole bunch of folks are stacking up a whole bunch of wealth, and that just puts us further behind. Our politics have not focused on that. So at the very least, if we're going to go to the polls need to reflect our condition, not some mythical aspiration that doesn't mean anything. So I wish the previous generations had gotten on that. Dr. King said, we're coming to get our check, and then they killed him. Malcolm X said, we hear about group economics, and they killed him. So they murdered all the prophets when they had the folks out in the street back then. And in the civil rights generation, they bought them off with interracial sexual access and buying white folks houses in the city. The white folk built new houses in the suburbs, and Black folk been trying to break into the suburbs ever since. So the previous generations dropped the damn ball because they got bought off. My generation has started turning it around, but we are way, way behind. This is the first time right here, right now, Asia, is the first time that Black people as a group have been centering economics as our central issue since we were released from antebellum slavery. This is the first time that this has become the central issue. They got us off on universalism and integration for a century. It's taken us a century to shake the nonsense. And we're not really done shaking it yet, but at least now it's centered as the conversation. Now we need to grow. So, ma'am, it's a very daunting task. You're absolutely right. It needs to be done. We're not going to receive any help with it necessarily. We have to demand that. There's only so much we can do. It will not be an overnight process. Everybody is literally against you, including some folks sitting around you. Where are you at? They're either telling you Jesus is the answer, or you niggas ain't going to do nothing no way. So you get that nonsense. But I bring you all here so that hopefully the things you do have control over, you have control over whether you're on code with each other. You've got control over that. You have control over whether I understand your savings are meager. You have control of that. And I'm just going to be honest with you. In a lot of cases, it'll be like China or Japan. It will be a 50-year effort. The reason why most Black folk don't have anything now is the civil rights generation wasted it on cocaine and white women. And most of them, they got jobs at the plants and then didn't even have a life insurance policy. At the very least, you could have had that available. So it's going to be up to you and me and us and we. At the very least, we can control not repeating bad mistakes like that. And maybe it will take you 20, 30 years. Maybe it will. The folk before you, that should have been the 20, 30 years there, but it wasn't. So who is going to do it? Now,
what about Dr.
John Henry Clark talked about that in China and Japan, that the government told them, this is what you will do. In Japan, it was 25 years. The government said, this is what you will go to college for. This is what you will do. You will save. You will not be wasteful in spending. They're doing the same thing in China. We don't have anything to impose that on us, but that's what other folks have had to do as well.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on an Office of Freedmen Affairs?
I mean, absolutely. We need the restoration of the Freedmen's Bank. You can call it whatever you want to, but certainly we need the restoration of the Freedmen's Bank. We need that to be specifically for us, specifically to deal with and concentrate on our issues until they are resolved at not just the federal level, but the state level as well. And you also need to make sure that you have it tied into regulations so that all the banks have to comply with it. Because there's the other part of it. The banks have been on a campaign against us with D.E. White, which is what my whole program tonight has been explaining. So along with everything else, that needs to be required of them. Yeah, we see what you are. Government policy has been to strip us of resources and victimize us. It needs to be government policy to specifically reverse those things at every level. And all I'm saying is the schoolhouse is not the answer. Don't let them get us focused on the schoolhouse. We can just get more religion and more school. No. That does not mean you have to be an illiterate baboon. There was a rapper said something like that. No, it's not that. But I get his point. Is that, by the way, you're not going to be given a literacy test at the bank. Mark Zuckerberg was not given a literacy test. He was asked about his idea, and they took care of the rest. I think you should be able to read. You most likely get taken advantage of if you can't, but you get my point. So, but yes, ma'am, what you're talking about, institutionalizing it. When you say the Freedmen's Bank or a Freedmen's Bureau, you're talking about you want to institutionalize the same way they did for the Native Americans. Yes, absolutely, yes. And that is why, by the way, in California, Gavin Newsom neither approved of cash payments nor even a Freedmen's Bureau. Yes, they understand what that is. They understand what it means. Yes, they see what you're trying to do.
Okay.
And what they're saying is we are against you because we know exactly what you're trying to do. Because once you get that established, that's it. The horses are out the gate then. Once you get it institutionalized, they're out the gate. You can't close that door again. So yes, ma'am, everything you said is absolutely right. And everything you said will be an uphill fight. They are not going to give up anything. The whole point about us saying no black, no support, we're voting for the couch, is because there has to be a penalty for them not doing anything. If they're going to be against us, there has to be a penalty for that. So you know what? Let us just sit home and Trump can lock up as many of them as he wants to, sue them, harass them, whatever the hell he's doing. Yeah, we're going to just let that happen to you then. Since you decided that you're against us, you know what? We'll just let you all work it out and y'all can slug it out with each other. And it's been damned uncomfortable. Jasmine Crockett is not running for Senate because things are going well. She's running for Senate because things are going to hell. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court said they can change the redistricting. They're removing her district. She's switching over to run for Senate because she's not going to have a congressional district this time next year. And that's a direct result of us voting for the couch. If we cannot, sister, I'm going to tell you this, and then I'll let you have the last word. Everything you brought up is valid. Along with everything else, I just have to tell you, we're going to have to use everything at our disposal, including the philosophy of if we cannot all be equally comfortable, then we will all be equally uncomfortable. And if you have to suffer and if you got to get stretched out, Jasmine Crockett going to be stretched out with you. Van Jones, rest of them, they all going to be sucking ass. Okay. If you going to be sitting up here having hardship, they're going to be having hardship with you. Ain't that right, Joy Reid? Ain't that right, Joy? Yeah, we're not stomping in the streets to get your job back or nothing. If you got hardship, Asia, we're going to make sure that you got company.
Okay.
At the very least. Maybe it will not be comfortable, but damn it, it will be justice. Thank you for giving the call tonight. I did not say all the answers will be easy. I didn't say there's going to be a panacea. I didn't say it's going to be love and roses. I didn't say that right there. This is war. This is war, and we are going to keep marching until we get it. Take control of the things that you can. You can control whether you're wasteful. You can control whether you're forward thinking. You can control whether you're saving. You can control whether you support the status quo. You can control whether you make things uncomfortable for the status quo. At the very least, they can't look for your support. 2024 will let the walls crash in. They're gambling that we're not going to do it again. I'm like, okay, this is the new damn normal. You shouldn't test us. But that's something you can do. You can refuse to support the status quo. You can do that. I didn't say it's everything. I didn't say it's going to solve everything. It's something you can do. Talk to your kids. Get on code. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Shout out Nipsey Hussle. All right, we got Lord Adam here on Zoom. Unmute yourself, sir. Oh, man, old school is trying to figure out how to decipher this newfangled technology. Take a look at your phone there, sir. I'm not sure. Usually that helps show you what you need to unmute. If you got headphones hooked up to your phone, you need to take them off. You need to unplug it. If you got headphones, wireless, or anything else, you need to take those off.
You hear me?
Okay, that helps. All right, what's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Jason, how you doing tonight? Let's see. I used to be former, like, a regional director of NSBE, and I knew they were going to screw that up, especially the Black fraternity, sorority, and all them. And then when I lived in New York, they had this thing called a Success Academy. And I was supposed to primarily help out foundational Black Americans, poor whites, Asians, and Puerto Ricans. That's all. They screwed that all up now. They don't even have, they have graduation wage, but they spend on average like $60-something thousand for a child. And we're talking about like elementary to high school. So I was thinking, how can we do that, but not have it up in the North? Because we brought it down to like Mississippi, Louisiana, I don't live there, but still, South Carolina, Alabama. We had a lot of brilliant Black kids there. We know, could they go to HBCUs? How could we do that? Or better yet, how would you structure what's that, charter school?
Brother, okay, we just gotta get straight to work. We don't really need all that stuff right now. We just need to get straight to work on that. Have you seen, for example, the white men who run the construction companies and skilled trades down here in the South? These are not a brain trust. These are not valedictorians. I know them. A bunch of them didn't get out of college. They didn't get out of high school. But usually because they had their daddy's business to go into. It does not take a PhD to run a capitalist system. It doesn't take a PhD to maintain infrastructure. It doesn't take a doctorate to be able to do these things. Yeah, some things is helpful if you do, but the people who run the world, I said it, they don't have doctorates. They don't. Brother, I can take your 13-year-old nephew, put him behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler, and he can drive it, assuming he's tall enough. That's all I need. I can take your 12-year-old niece and I can show her how to run a restaurant. I can show her how to run a textile mill. It's not a PhD program. Mankind has been making clothes now for literally thousands of years. It's not a PhD, y'all. You don't need an MBA to be a short. Walk into any Waffle House, people. That's a restaurant. The great thing I like about Waffle House is you can see how the sausage is made right behind you. It's not rocket science. They got folk thinking that, this is a big left. The damn business is being run right there on that grill right behind you. When you take their order, they take your order, he turns right around and makes it and then charge you twice as much as it probably is. I'm not going to hate on the Waffle House. If you like it, that's great. But brother, that's not a PhD candidacy. And let me go even further. They would not be bringing illegals over here by the millions if you even needed to read.
And deal with it, nigga.
True.
Folks, they're bringing illegals over here. What does that tell you? You need to read, but the illegal don't? So you need to have a charter school and be fluent in English, but the illegal over here that they can bring in millions, he doesn't need that? Come on, man. They're conning you. All we got to do is plug the kids directly into it. Whatever field you want to put them into, all you got to do, brother, you've worked, I'm sure you had a job. You did not learn your job in training. You learned your job on the job. Whether it's the military, construction, or whatever, you didn't learn how to do your job in the classroom. Even skilled trades. You didn't learn how to do skilled trades in the classroom. You learn when we put you in the field. And your kids are going to learn there too. The only difference is they block us from being able to do that. Ordinarily, you would take care of teaching that. They block that. How do I teach you construction? You ain't got any instruction equipment. Oh, they stop you from getting that. So you're waiting for somebody from the dominant society to throw you a bone or something there, and then your last hired, first fired. No, brother, we just got to plug them in. If you had the ability right now, we could put the kids in the skilled trades. You can put them in the trucking. You can put them in all those things directly. Directly. The only thing they want to talk to you about is nursing. These other folk up here are stalling time. If you have an academy, they need to have it just needs to go straight into industry. Are you preparing them to facilitate and act in and perform in industry? If you are, I'm going to tell you where they're going to end up at. If you don't, I can tell you where they're going to end up at there too. They're going to college where they're going to spin their wheels. Because you're not going to tell them what college to go to. You're not going to tell them what courses to sign up for. They're not going to tell you STEM. If you're a black female, they're going to tell you, well, go get into psychology or psychiatry or liberal arts and go be a social worker. So they steer you off into that. When if we had gamed you up in the beginning, you never would have started that in the first place. Most of them.
Yeah, but don't we need a cash infusion?
Yes.
That's all on grants.gov.
I mean, brother, I'm just saying, I can't teach you to drive an 18-wheeler on a simulator. I gotta get you behind the wheel of a rig. I can't teach you how to do plumbing on a simulator on an app. You gotta get that pipe wrench. You have to know how to measure these things. You gotta show you how to cut PVC. You don't learn that in a classroom. You learn that in the field. Okay, but field work requires resources. So when we say resources, it's money, it's materials. You're gonna buy materials with the money, but money, materials, space. You need real estate to do it in. Mentors. They gotta be compensated. Or maybe if okay, maybe you can get around some of those things. But yeah, brother, yes, this needs funding. And they want to give us funding for charter schools and for scholarships. Meanwhile, it's like, by the way, damn it. Okay, they gave you a $25,000 scholarship. You could have bought an old ragged out rig for that. You could have bought an old ragged out 18-wheeler for that. I'll be damned. Could I turn this scholarship into $25,000 of money? Because there's a question we don't ask. We'll give you a $50,000 scholarship. Wow, I wonder what you could have done with $50,000 to invest. So they keep doing that so it pays the schools. So all the wealth gets transferred for them. It keeps getting tied up. They never turn it tangible for you until you get way on the back end. They stretch you out as far as you can. All this money has been floating around you, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they never made it tangible in your hand. They only trade it with each other. It bypasses you. And then you spent years with no access to anything. And at the very end, they give you a bill. So they start you off not with capital. Mark Zuckerberg got capital. You get debt. They start you off with debt and say, good luck, nigga. And what I'm saying is that that's not accidental. That's engineered. That is deliberate. It's deliberate because they want us to be the workforce. Yeah, but they also want us to be powerless. So you just get a bunch of crazy, wild, conflicting information. You're in. Once you go into debt, we got you. And then next thing you know, you spend the rest of your life trying to recover. That's not accidental. It's not. The conversations they're having with them and their kids are radically different from the ones they have with you. And you got some gray hairs on your head, so that means you're going to understand what I say here next. You know when you walk in a room full of white men, when they all start getting quiet when you walk in. You say, damn, they were talking about something important.
Yes.
Now, when they bull jiving, they don't get quiet. You know when a group of white men are talking about money, because when your black ass walks up, they all get quiet. Every black person in here who's worked at a white company or been to a white college has had that experience. Brother, that's not a fluke that we all got the same story. That's not a fluke. That is culture and policy. Hey, we don't share this with the niggers. Ever. That's that locked door I was referring to. Yeah, right there. That's how seriously the code to locking that door is. If you come around, it's real awkward to them. They rather it be awkward and it's obvious that they're concealing something. They would rather do that than to let you know, than to things not get awkward and let you find out what they're talking about. Okay, he knows we're hiding something. Yeah, but he can't force us to give it to him. So, yeah.
Yeah, can they train China?
They got the Chinese. They want the Chinese to be helpless. Or at least they want them to be useful.
I was over there in the 90s, and they had Westinghouse people training Chinese, training like that's like hordes of them just being trained in schools for free.
Yeah, I mean, that was how committed they were to avoiding empowering us, because China is not trying to destroy white supremacy. They're just trying to improve their position in it.
Or take over.
I mean, China is not trying to destroy white supremacy. Asia is not trying to destroy white supremacy. They identify with white supremacy. They're not trying. We are the only people on the planet who've made it our mission to deconstruct white supremacy. Nobody else is. So yeah, they have no problem talking to anybody else. Nobody else has told them, by the way, hello, I'm here to deconstruct white supremacy. No wonder they don't have a problem talking to anybody else. They're the only ones who have not committed themselves to deconstructing it. So just understand why they allow them to stay. They allow it.
Well, let's say one of us hit it big, like the lotto or something.
But it couldn't be one.
That we should just invest in ourselves.
Here's the problem, though. It doesn't work with just one. We are not one privileged Negro away from it happening. That was why even the concept of the talented 10th. I mean, 10%, brother, that's a lot. We're not one Oprah away. And the problem is they can pick and choose to make a nigga rich. We're not just one person away. You can talk about Dangote all you want to in Nigeria and things like that. That's one guy. So we shouldn't get fooled. I want you to understand the odds you're really up against. And the other problem is it can't just be one person, because they can just kill you.
The truth.
Which they do all the time. So if it's just one person, you're too easily beaten, you're too easily dominated, that's not enough. It's going to have to be a bunch of us. As I said, it is a daunting task, but that's what it's going to be required. Once again, if one person accumulates that much wealth, they're going to move in. If he's not controlled or whatever, they're going to move in. So it's something that has to happen lower down than that. It can't get to a point where they can see that it's just one person with it. So what I'm saying is that it can't just be one person comes up and then he distributes. I mean, it's possible, but that would be very, very risky. And furthermore, he'd have to have hundreds of billions. He basically have to be Elon Musk. That would be too easy to spot. Remember,
like 100 million.
Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, and then remember, they all came up together.
Truth.
They all rose at the same time. So if you're going to make it work where you're not so vulnerable, the best option would be you got to move as a group, man. We got to move as a people. We got to move as a group. Even if they get one, they can't get all of you, which would be the nightmare scenario for them. They're counting on us, looking for a savior, looking for the special Negro. They're not counting on the idea that we would all move as a group. So there's your power. Y'all want to talk about unity? Well, that's one. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Let me see if we can get Elijah up here on Zoom for me here right quick. Where you at, Elijah? Okay, there you are, Elijah. What's on your mind?
Hey, good evening, big brother Jason. Hey, first things first. Look, I'm not going to be long-winded because I know you got some, a lot of other callers, but I do need to have some of the stuff. Please G-check me. If I say anything out of pocket, please forgive me. I wouldn't mean to, but you brought up some good points about Jasmine the croc at, like Professor Black Truth would say, and this nasty devil Michael Bloomberg. Let me start off with Jasmine Crockett. You said earlier to a caller, I believe the previous caller, not this one, but the caller before that, about the power of our vote just sitting at home, and she didn't realize we're not effing around no more. Like, you doing all this Sambo, this fake ghetto, hood persona. That's not going to move the needle no more. That would have worked. Anything she's doing, that would have worked prior to the Obama years. After the Obama era. Yes, please.
I'm asking you, do you have a question?
Yes, brother. What makes, my first question is, what makes Jasmine Crockett so delusional to believe she's going to even dream she's going to win the Senate race?
Well, she's not delusional. This is a desperation play. Like I say, as soon as the Republicans said they were going to X out her district, Trump got in office, and what they found out is we ain't bull jiving. We knew this was a possibility, and we're like, yeah, he's going to be the most corrupt, the most blatantly corrupt president in history, the most abusive of presidential powers. And yes, we are going to let the dogs run loose. We're going to let the dogs run wild. And yes, he's got a bullseye on every Democrat. He's made no secret of it. And they're not talking anymore. They're just moving on you. So yes, Jasmine Crockett, if you play dumb, we're going to play dumb along with you. If you act like you don't know what they're doing, we're going to act like we don't know what they're doing either. And we're just going to sit back. So what the Democrats were betting on was that the only folks who would be discomforted is us. And we're showing them, nope, there's going to be discomfort to go around. There sure as hell will, starting with your congressional seat, Jasmine. Don't worry about running for re-election. Don't worry about running for re-election. You won't have a seat to run for. It's not just that you're going to be up against an opponent. Baby, you won't even have a district. When they get done, you will not even have a district to run in. And that's where they at. And they're looking at other states do the same damn thing. Maybe now you take us seriously. So her running for Senate is a desperation play, but it's out of necessity. She doesn't have a choice anymore. She can't run for Congress again. Not she doesn't want to, she can't. So That's where you at. So if they wanted to use bull jiving the plan, now they know we're dead serious.
Wow. Okay. And then another part of that, what do you think about what's comparing that? Because you was just talking about Trump and the gerrymandering. What do you think about what he tried to do with Indiana and what's happening in Gavin Newsom?
I mean, look, he's trying to run the tables there. I mean, here's the real problem. The real problem is no, he's not going to succeed at everything. He's too much of a baboon. But the bottom line is, I'm not here for him to knock off the Democrats. We're here to say, by the way, Democrats, this is pretty damned uncomfortable now, isn't it?
Right.
This is pretty damned uncomfortable. Now, I don't care who the hell you are. You ain't really trying to lose your congressional seat like that. Well, we're going to allow that to happen on account of the fact you've allowed a bunch of terrible things to happen over here. So are you sure you want to play this game of assuming that we're just going to choose the lesser of two evils and ignore everything you've done? Are you sure we're going to do that? Are you certain we're going to do it again? Because we've shown you the last few election cycles, that's a hell of a bet to make. You can't convince somebody that you're serious if you don't convince them that you're going to let them get knocked over the head. You think you're going to save me? You ain't going to let that happen to me. Watch. Now that you let it happen to them once, they're like, oh, hell, you're serious.
Oh.
So you can either listen to us or you can listen to them folks who got their hands working your mouth. But we're here to show you that we're serious about it. So the consequences have already happened. The die is already cast. It wouldn't even matter if we had to change a heart today. Trump's in office for the next 3 years. He's in office for the next 3 years. So he's got 3 more years to give them hell. And this is the consequences of playing with us. So at this point right now, he's going to work everything he can. He has no reason not to. So Gavin Newsom can do whatever he wants to or not do whatever he wants to. That's not going to help Jasmine Crockett.
Right.
That's not going to help him, and it's not going to help any of the others that they erase their districts. It's not going to help any of them. And once you show them that, yeah, y'all about to lose too, then when the others show up later, maybe they will take it more seriously. Perhaps they'll take it more seriously when we tell them, now let's talk about those tangibles, because that's what motivates us. Maybe they'll take it more seriously, because understand this, what's happening to Jasmine Crockett is a direct result of the presidential campaign.
Of course.
That is not a result of a local election. It's not a result of Texas. This is a direct result of the presidential election, because the executive is in favor of eliminating those districts. So there is no Justice Department to file lawsuits or briefs or whatever to try to defend this or stop it. Now, granted, there were other lawsuits. Well, I'm just saying, you don't just have Texas saying that. You have the president saying, yeah, I'm on board. So you have no backup from the Justice Department, no backup from the Civil Rights Division, as if we ever had any. Carolyn Bryant. So, yeah, Trump is going after them, and there is no Justice Department to defend them. That's a direct result of the presidential election. So the presidential election had far fewer consequences for us than it has for the Democrats directly. And Jasmine Crockett is experiencing some of those consequences now. Shout out Kill Bill. So she's experiencing some of those consequences now, and she will not be the only one. And I am all the way cool with all of that.
Right.
I'm all the way cool. Nancy Pelosi is jumping ship. Chuck Schumer's shaking his boots. Yeah, there's a bunch of folk out there right now wondering what's going to happen. And yeah, and they should be.
Oh yeah. About your second part of tonight's broadcast about Dr. Doomberg. I got a question with this one. Why don't he start where he began? Here's what I mean. It's nice, and I'm using nice loosely. It's nice you want to do something for the black kids, the so-called something. I don't know how much that's going to amount to, but whatever it is. But my question is, hey, start where you began. Your racist, nasty ass policies caused the young man to get killed the morning before his wedding. Why don't he take that same $20 million and give it to the widows? Start there and everything like that. I don't have a problem you going to Alabama and trying to get them children, those brothers and sisters started with something, whatever it is. But hey,
well, I mean, they already had their suit and everything about that in particular there with Sean. You're talking with Sean Bell. I mean, they already had their suit in particular about that right there. At this point right now, I'm just like, okay, for the rest of us who don't live in New York, for example, that's real nice. You want to do all this stuff here, but I'm not fooled by that. I don't want to hear another word about schools, education. Don't bring me any more of that stuff right there. What we need is to be directly infused with cash. We need to be directly infused into the industry, directly infused into the economy, directly infused with economics. No more playing around. All this other stuff is stalling tactics, either so they can have a write-off or so they can sit up here and signify or so they can sit up here and, public relations. And I'm not with it. I don't want to hear. I recognize all the stalling tactics. All of us do now. They're doing everything they can to avoid plugging us directly into investment. And as far right now, that is a non-starter from here to the end of time. No more signifying, no more symbolism, no more stalling tactics. Plug us into the industry, plug us into capital, or there's nothing for us to talk about. And don't expect me to congratulate you. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Let me see if we can get Shakir up here on Zoom for me. All right, Shakir, what's on your mind?
Humble servant, it's good to talk to you again. I think the whole logic behind Mr. Bloomberg's donation is to identify and groom young black children to safely assimilate into white society. I think that's his logic about this donation. What do you think?
I mean, yes, it's the same thing it's always been, that black children of them are harmless, even though they victimize them. But the bottom line is this is their contribution to the status quo. So I'm glad you called up to say that. Succinctly put, this is their contribution to the status quo. If they thought for a moment that this was going to be a major disruptor of the status quo, then they wouldn't be doing it. All they're really doing is attempting to finance your children basically joining their workforce.
And I think with all the corruption that I've seen with the Somalians, there's a Haitian female politician in Florida. Her name presently escapes me. And then with the Nigerians, and with the Black Americans in politics, I think that one might draw the conclusion there's nothing in the world so demoralizing as money. What do you say to that?
Well, I mean, money is just a tool. What is done with it, however, can be empowering or demoralizing. Just like food, just like, sunshine, just like health. These are things. Money is just a tool. However, money is a tool that can be weaponized. So there's the difference about that. And any tool can be weaponized. So, yeah, I mean, money can have a positive impact. But if you weaponize it, like food, like a hammer, then it can have very devastating consequences.
Yeah, and one final point. I called in before and gave some erroneous information. It was because of my ignorance. I said if you have 40 million people and you gave them $25,000 apiece, that would amount to $1 trillion. I gave the wrong answer, and no one called me out on it. But what I did also do some back reading. It said that in order to close the income gap between black and white families, it would take anywhere from $9 trillion to $12 trillion. And then, as I said then, that brings in the argument, well, if we gave that much money into the economy in a sudden burst, there would be detrimental consequences. But I wonder if those same consequences would be if you gave, roughly speaking, 40 million Black people $25,000, that would be $1 trillion. And I wonder if those same consequences of inflation and detonating the supply chain and devaluing the dollar would still take effect. I mean, because they were talking about $2,000 to buy insurance, and they were saying that, well, we can't do that because, they were hedging on that.
Yeah, I mean, so, look, like I said to you the last time here, the dollar is being devalued right now. I mean, it's been being devalued now for 50 years. So without us getting anything. So that's not an argument that holds water with me. That's not going to be an excuse for me because I'm like, well, I'll be damned. You're denying us and it's sinking right now. It's not like the dollar's doing great, but if we do this, what you talking about, that'll change. I mean, it's already sinking. So all I'm saying right here is, yeah, that's not going to dissuade me. That argument wouldn't dissuade me. And the other thing is, brother, I mean, you can make an investment in generational wealth without even having to do that. Let me just say this a different way, Shakir. They're not even making a down payment on changing the status quo. Put the $9 trillion, $10 trillion, $20 trillion figure to the side. They're not even putting a down payment on it. Elon Musk can get $1 trillion, but they're not even putting $100 billion on this right here. So this is not a matter of them not having the money. This is about them not having the will. I mean, they're not giving us the money they give to Israel, the money they give to Afghanistan, the money they gave to Ukraine. That's $100 billion right there. So, okay, you got it for Ukraine for what reason? Again, we're giving them $100 billion for what? And then telling you, oh, we ain't got it. But you got it for Ukraine. So I'm just saying that $100 billion would be a hell of a down payment. And you wouldn't have to give it to everybody because you're not going to give it to every Black man, woman, and child. But just for example, a number of Black people, descendants of American slaves who have a certain amount of money in the bank, period. If you're a Black person who's got $25,000 in the bank, okay, that's good enough show of financial stewardship right there. You can run through Small Business Administration or whatever. They're not even doing that. Now we got refugee assistance for Asians and Vietnamese now, and Afghans and everybody else. You got that. While they're telling you, folks who come from another country, you tell me their credit score was great, so they can get a loan. Where's the FICO of Southern Vietnam? Show me where that's at. Where's the FICO of Baghdad? So, brother, they're not even putting a down payment on it.
And one final point, you brought up Israel. And one of my things that I've always thought that since we didn't have anything to do with what they label the Holocaust, but yet our tax dollars goes to pay them, if they were truly concerned about the welfare of FBAs, they would take some of that money and share it with us that they get. Because we didn't have anything to do with that Holocaust, but yet our soldiers helped to free them. So Israel owes us a debt, but yet we're paying them a debt for something that is really none. So we helped them out, and yet we're paying them, for freeing them, which is what it amounts to.
Yeah, while they talk to you stupid about slavery and reparations. Why should we have to pay for reparations? Well, why are we paying for the Holocaust again?
And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us a call. Yeah, I mean, why are we paying for the Holocaust then? You're not stopping that. You're not arguing with them. You didn't get in their way. Byron Donalds is sitting up here kissing ass and bragging. I'm just like, okay. But they talk to us crazy. Look, the real thing is they want to see how long we're going to sit there and talk crazy with them. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and talk crazy along with you. That day is over. The civil rights generation sat there and talked dumb along with them. We're different. We're just not doing that garbage anymore. We're not talking stupid with them. We know what the game is. We know it's not about schools and charter schools and all that nonsense. We know it's not about that. And by the way, you all can tell from the way I talk, my diction and everything else, I have respect for education. I have respect for intelligence, but I got more respect for being sensible. and more respect for justice. And it is not a sign of intelligence to allow somebody to keep running stalling tactics on you. You are not going to convince me that that charter school is a good investment if at the end of that time at that charter school, I'm letting people run stalling tactics on me and I'm saying that's okay. That is a miseducation, not education. Don't tell me that you're putting money in the HBCUs if at the end of the time in the HBCU, I don't realize that the money you put in that HBCU was a stalling tactic. If I don't realize that, then that is miseducation. I want to walk beside Michael Bloomberg's kids and grandkids and see if we're both walking the same path, going in the same direction, in the same steps. If I'm going one way and they break off in another direction and he tells me to keep walking the way I'm going, hey, wait a minute now. Why is it your kids don't have to walk the direction I'm going? If we're both going the same destination, why is it I got to go over here and they're going over there? You are not educating people properly if that's the result they end up with, is believing that that's you treating them right, or that they're being properly educated when they're being given horribly, radically different results that ultimately turn up futile. We're going to go ahead and take one more call here on Zoom right quick. We got Robert on Zoom. Robert, what's on your mind?
I was looking at this, man, and it's a total disappointment. And like you said, a slap in the face. I've watched everybody pretend that education is the key to our success, and they're giving venture capital to everybody. And then even when they seem like they're doing something for African Americans, they aren't doing anything. Take, for example, Wells Fargo and the $100 million lawsuit where they were pretending to bring people in and they really weren't doing anything. And as much as people, especially these candidates who saying, yeah, education is the key, you're still being absorbed into a white culture, a European ideology. So you're not really doing anything for yourself. And according to Dr. Amos Wilson, as much as we think things are going to change by them actually doing symbolism, nothing ever changes.
The thing that they have always guarded, always blocked, Malcolm X said it, when you demanded to get into their restaurants, they let you in. When you demanded the white man's house, they let you have it and they moved to the suburbs. Now you are demanding their jobs, the economy. Can he abandon his economy as easily as he abandoned his schools and his houses? No. Eventually you got around to the root of the problem and you started demanding that. And it has been a nonstop, ridiculous, shameful, embarrassing stalling tactic ever since. They've done every disgraceful, humiliating thing to themselves in the book, to avoid addressing this one thing. Hey, about them dollars. Hey, about that. And no, we're not talking about welfare. We're saying here is that it wasn't welfare for Michael Bloomberg. It wasn't welfare for Donald Trump. It wasn't welfare for George W. Bush. Y'all gave them whole damn companies. And it wasn't welfare for them. And need I remind you, brother, you're already aware, for every Facebook, there are 20 or 30 that didn't make it. The Facebooks are the unicorns. The Mark Andreessens and the people who invest in those companies, Mark Andreessen's company literally invests in 100 companies with the expectation of one hitting. Now, you take a look at that. A 99% failure rate, and yet that's perfectly acceptable. While they're telling you what they can't do with you. Elizabeth Holmes can make a completely fraudulent blood machine that nobody even looked at, and that's okay to the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars. That's all right. However many millions she wanted, there you go. But they're telling you they can't afford that for you. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, we talk about Facebook, but do you realize how many of them was just money gone?
I even seen that when I used to work for Meta. They had these big corporation gatherings where the banks were there. And it was crazy that all of these companies that were built by white men. There were no black companies there, predominantly white companies that were already getting ready to do business with Meta, as far as their technology, as far as them sharing their expertise. And these companies weren't made by people who had masters and all of that. These are people who actually built this stuff with venture capital. And I got to see exactly what you used to talk about all the time about
Mark Zuckerberg couldn't program.
Yeah.
Mark, remember, we went off this story going on 2 decades ago. Mark Zuckerberg could not program. He had to get one of his buddies in the dorm went off and bought Perl for Dummies and said, neither one of us knows how to use Perl. He said, I'll read it this weekend. So Mark Zuckerberg's buddy was the one who read Perl. Mark Zuckerberg didn't do the coding and the high level coding and programming for it. He didn't even do any of that. None. So you can't say that you were investing in his quote unquote genius. He didn't even do any of the programming. So you didn't require him to even be able to do that. When you show up all of a sudden, well, show us your resume. What do you do here? Can you do this? Do you even know programming? Ooh, boy, it doesn't look like you're ready. But he was ready.
It's a disservice. And like I say, once we got to that point, and you always say about uncompromising, once we compromised our identity and everything that we stood for as far as our socioeconomic status, that cleared the way for them to be able to do whatever it is that they want to do, and they're doing it now. So
yeah, look, the 500-year white supremacist campaign of colonialism, imperialism, it was all for culminating in this moment where they have secured and locked down all of the wealth around the world. They have control of all the resources. And as Dr. Claude Anderson said, that it will freeze into place this way for eternity. That this is they're just a monarchy and an aristocracy. We have control over everything, and we will retain it in perpetuity, till the end of time. You are living in the white empire, and that if you are not born white, you are not a part of it. That's it. And this will be mankind's fate for the rest of time. And this is what it's all about right here.
I'm standing with you all the way. Be one.
Be one, brother. Thank you for giving us a call tonight. If you don't understand white supremacy, what it is, how it operates, what it does, then everything else you think you know will just confuse you. They had a very clear, concrete goal, people, and they accomplished the goal, which is why it has uniformity around the world. It looks the same around the world because it is the same around the world. This was the goal. Whenever you challenge white supremacy, you get the same pushback, the same stupid excuses, the same invalid responses, the same irrational responses. Well, yeah, this is the goal. They got what they came for, dominance. And the goal is for it to endure in perpetuity, permanently. That they will be a permanent overclass for the rest of time. That was the whole reason for imperialism and colonialism and all that, that they will be a permanent overclass, a permanent aristocracy, and you will be a permanent underclass, a permanent eternal caste system. And just like the old English system of royalty, either you're born into the royal family or you're not. If you're born into the aristocracy, you're privileged. If you're not, you get done in. And that's it. You can do many things, but you cannot change your fate. And that's the idea. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. A little sobering, a little somber, but we definitely need that. We definitely need that. Playtime has been over. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that red subscribe button if we've earned your subscription. And if we haven't, come back next week. Give us a chance here. We'll see if we can earn it again for you. And click that yellow notification bell so that you can keep up to date when we are on. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank Keenan. I want to thank Melvina and everybody else here who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you to everyone here for tuning in live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.